Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, August the 15th, 2024. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. Got another great show lined up for you, as always, although through the summer, as always, has been a bi-weekly affair. It's been a very busy summer, and we're almost at the end, which scares me because that means I've got a wedding in 2 weeks. Fuck! Sneaking up real quick. Time flies when you're just trying to build a deck in time where your future in-laws can see more than just gravel. Yeah, no, it's been another couple weeks, and we've got a tiny bit of actual game news for the first time. We're like, that's the other sign that we're getting through the end of summer, is that there's actual shit happening. Everyone has begun to produce some semblance of news, and so we actually have a couple of things to talk about. But before we do, of course, the most important question of the week, Mr. Black, how's your week?
It was all right. I mean, just another week playing lots of Stormgate. That's been pretty much my week. I mean, I've been grinding hard, so I haven't really done any extracurricular activities except go to the gym, and that's it. I mean, I'm in the thick of it right now. I'm in the trenches.
Yes, I've been stopping in to see how the trenches have been going occasionally, and they are trenches. They are indeed trenches. Yeah, I mean, I've quite literally just been, with the wedding being a couple weeks out. Obviously, there's a lot going on here in terms of last minute changes or event related stuff, and coordinating the since we don't have a coordinator, coordinating the various rental services that we've got in place, and trying to nail down the last of the details. I know one thing I have to try to figure out where we're going to be having this tent in case it rains. We have to, you have to stake these tents because they're massive tents. And they're a certain distance away from the outside of the tent, and the area where we're at, of course, there's a septic field in the area, so we have to, we can't just drive stakes anywhere we want. And so I've got to go down and figure that out within the next week, to finalize where we're going to be able to put the tent. We're pretty sure we're going to be okay. The problem is that these stakes are like, what did they say they were? They're like almost 3 feet in the ground. I was like, Jesus, what kind of a tent are we staking here? What do you think this is going to be, like a hurricane come up out of nowhere and lift this bitch up? There's like 12 stakes for this tent. Like, it ain't that serious. What are we doing? So they were like, yeah, it needs to be, we need to be able to drive them. What was it? How much? Yeah, it was like 34 inches or 32 inches. Like, my God, fuck. Well, first of all, my question was, what I wanted to really ask them was, in Nova Scotia, where the fuck can you drive a stake 3 feet? Have you ever been anywhere in this province?
Yeah.
It's just rock. Where are you even getting 3 feet? You need to be in a peat bog. Get fucking 3 feet in this province. So anyway, just lots of stuff like that. Dad and I finished the railing systems on the deck and the stairs and the stair rail. And so the deck is, except for just one little board thing to be done, is basically finished on the top side. I just have to go underneath of it and finish putting more nails and joist hangers and shit like that never got done to this point. And then we've got like hurricane ties that we want to install, and then that will be completed. And then there's just, the remaining whatever the fuck mile long list of shit that just I never seem to be able to get to be shorter before everyone arrives, including a fair amount of yard work. But it's going well. It's fine. It would just be nice if the weather behaved, because right now it's been like a streak of days where we've had like sun, but then out of nowhere, here's a downpour for like 45 minutes. It's a sun shower, but it's the longest sun shower you've ever seen in your life, and there's like 5 gallons of water that hits the ground. And then you go back to sun, and then it's back to another 45 minutes of fucking rain, and like you're looking at the clouds like, what cloud is fucking dumping this much rain right now? Because none. There's like wisps in the fucking air. So it's made very difficult to do outside work, but we're getting there. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's weddings. They're always a fucking 5-alarm fire until they happen, and it always manages to work out somehow. So as long as we don't get a hurricane, it'll be just fine. It'll be okay. Otherwise, I'm not playing Stormgate. I've been watching Stormgate. I continue to watch stuff and keep up with it, especially after that patch went out. It was I was very interested to see how the game would have developed after that patch. And then beyond that, I've been playing Magic the Gathering Arena, which is something I do like once every year or so. I hop back on and play it until I'm reminded why I stopped playing. It's that game. Everyone has that game for them. Magic the Gathering Arena. That's mine. I hop on and I'm like, oh wait, they still haven't fixed the shuffler. It's still dog shit. Why am I playing this game? And then I put it down for another like fucking 2 years until I pick it back up again. And that's been it, really. Yeah, that's about it, really. Although, in relation to that, so with Magic the Gathering, many years ago, this is for Arenas, this is their online client. People had known forever. They were you could just feel it. You know, just by playing the game, the shuffler is fucked. Like statistically, the odds of some of these card draws people were getting just doesn't make zero fucking sense. And like anything with probability, even if it's a 1% chance, it will happen. The problem was the frequency in which that 1% was popping up all the time was a little fucking weird. And so some mad lad, I remember years ago. Oh my god, I forgot to change over to the live podcast screen. That's fucking hilarious.
I was waiting.
See how long
it would take. Bro,
I would have gone the whole podcast, dead ass. I looked over at the chat. Fuck's sakes.
I saw it about 3 minutes before chat did, because I was pulling up the YouTube chat and I'm like, wait a second, it still says the starting soon. I'm just gonna wait this out, see how long it takes them to figure it out.
I would have been here the whole time, not even looked over and seen that. But some mad lad years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago now, maybe, could have even been 4, started to collect an enormous amount of data on Magic the Gathering Arena for the shuffler, and basically proved it was fucking broken, like crazy broken. And Wizards of the Coast were like, nah, you just don't have all the data. Our shuffler is fine. There's nothing wrong. Anyway, just recently, another company came up and fucking, again, a whole company or something this time was like, your shuffler's fucked. You're fucking people. Like every game, you're fucking people. And this time they were like, all right, well, we're actually cop boys. What can we say? And so they came up and they said, yeah, no, it's not broken. It's working as intended. It's there to make people build good decks.
Okay.
Some bullshit. Wizards of the Coast, go fuck yourself. If people are playing Magic the Gathering Arena, they're not thinking to themselves, well, I have this deck that I play at the local club, the card shop. I'm using the same deck on Arena.
Yeah, but they want you to buy packs, Adam. They want you to buy stuff. That's where they get you, man. That's what they're doing. They're making it seem like your deck is the problem, so they can gouge you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But anyway, so that's been my vice for the last week or so. But anyway, regardless, we got some news to talk about. So let's talk about some news, Mr. Black. After 30-something years, I want to say 33 years, almost as long as we've been kicking around this rock, Game Informer magazine was officially shuttered by its owner company, which I can't remember when they bought them, but it's been a hot minute now. GameStop. So GameStop, which I'm not even 100% certain how GameStop is still functioning. I thought that company was dead ages ago. The meme stock, the whole, like, I don't know what is floating it at this, but just pure Funko Pops or something. I'm not entirely sure what's keeping them afloat. Anyway, they shut down Game Informer after 33 years of being open, and of course, as is prototypical of modern day business, they did it unceremoniously. So they just had the HR team walk into the office, sat everyone down, and said, "Yeah, so it's closed." And they were like 70% of the way through like the current issue, and they just said, "Yeah, so it's closed. Pack up your shit. It's all over." And the guy, there's been 33 years. You'd think they'd have at least the fucking decency to go in and be like, "All right, guys, so we're gonna finish this issue. if you've got some messages to write to to people who've been reading this for decades, this is your time. Editor-in-chief, all this stuff. Write your stuff. Get it sorted. This is the last run. We can't afford to run this ship anymore. No, not even that. Just walk in, go fuck yourself, pack up, head out, see you bye. And that's just. I mean, I don't even read Game Informer. I've owned Game Informer magazines over the years. I think anyone that's been playing games in our age bracket has owned a few copies. Probably just bought off the shelf, probably for like a game specifically that was on the cover at the time.
In the closet. I've got a bunch in the closet.
Hold on to them now. Because it doesn't exist anymore. But man, I get that GameStop is just like basically dying and should be dead already. But I can't imagine how they couldn't have like let them just finish out this last one and bowed out gracefully. This was the third largest publication in print media in North America for years. This is a monstrous, like, as far as like the video game culture is concerned, a pillar of like games media for longer than many people who are currently playing games for, in the last 20 years have even been alive, which is insane to think about. And they can't even give them that. That shit's fucking crazy to me. It just bothers me. I'm kind of tired of companies doing that shit. I get that if you're going to shut them down, but this whole like, it's like they're ripping off the Band-Aid, but they're not ripping off the Band-Aid for the workers. They're ripping off the Band-Aid for like the C-suite that don't want to have to think about it. Yeah. They just want to be able to see everyone as a 1 and a 0, even if it's for like something like this. It's like the whole fucking thing is just gone. So it's just really friggin' unfortunate and crazy. And part of me hopes that in some way somebody else will buy the property out and keep it going, even if it's done in like they contract their operation significantly. I just have to imagine there's still, if they were around recently, there's obviously still some semblance of a subscriber base that was keeping this whole thing going. It's just GameStop just didn't want to pay for the operation anymore. So I don't know, we'll see. But that was just a wild one to read, because it was one of those things. I mean, we know that paper media is going away, has been for a long time. Or heavily reduced, let's say. There's still newspapers that you can buy and magazines and stuff. Obviously, you're standing in line at the grocery store. You still have to watch like tabloid magazines making shit up on a daily basis. But it's obviously changed dramatically because of the internet and internet publications. And even internet publications for gaming journalism is changing dramatically. There's only like 3 major companies left, really 2 if you think about it. And they're pretty much owned by bigger media conglomerates. We don't have much of a landscape for general video game journalism anymore. And honestly, other than maybe, if you sat down and thought hard about it, maybe 10 people remaining in the industry that's supposed to be about video games journalism, it's not even journalism anymore. It's just clickbait articles that are usually based on some other publication has already posted about it. And then they have a byline, they do their byline, whatever, and they're like, as posted by insert other fucking place that talked about it first. And then they just have like this giant inflammatory wall of bullshit for getting clicks. So it's not even journalism anymore. There's only a couple of people really who are actually actively doing journalism, like Jason Schreier, for example, and a couple of other people who are still in the trenches. But we don't have it anymore, which is just a weird fucking unfortunate thing. Although I should say, I suppose that's the same in regular journalism. Like, how many people are still doing regular journalism anymore? It's probably also a short list at the end of the day. But there you go. So hold on to your Game Informer.
It's always surprised me the amount of publications there are for your traditional, articles. Like, people, it's 2024. I mean, I'm a little ignorant to this because it's not my world, but at the same time, I can't imagine outside of maybe the New York Post, really any of these publications make, especially in the gaming sphere, making any considerable amount of money, seeing as though the majority of the way that people consume their media is through video,
online portals,
online. Exactly. Like I don't know, maybe there is 10-20,000 people that are still active and reading and paying $4.99 or whatever they charge. But my God, I mean, this sucks, but at the same time, it's like you kind of see it coming. Like if you're in that space, even if you're in the space for 30 years, you have to understand that you've been in the space for 30 years and media as a whole has changed drastically. Like, just the way that people consume. I mean, it's the graph is like this. It's no longer even like this or this. It has been like this for a decade, where it's just like more and more and more different types of media, less and less people. TikTok brain, ain't nobody got time to sit there and read a 15-20 minute article. It's to the point where when you write reviews or you're writing any type of gaming article, at the very top they literally tell you how long of a read it is, because like people just, oh, do I want to spend, oh no, don't worry, this is a great piece, it's a 7-minute read. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you got to go like you got to do these things now to like hook people in tells you everything you need to know. Like if I was in that line of work, I would already like preemptively, I don't give a shit if I've been at wherever for 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, 40 years, I would be already looking to have some sort of side thing going or some sort of pivot in the back of my mind, because you just never know when a company's going to walk in and say, hey guys, listen, investors here are saying we're allocating this much money. We're getting a return, but the return is so small that we should be allocating these resources to a department where the return on our investment is infinitely higher. And in some cases, I think some of these are just charity. I'm speaking out of, I don't know, I'm ignorant.
You're just taking a guess. You're just taking a guess because you're not part of it. I'm just taking a guess.
Yeah. That's not part of it. But my guess is there's some traditions that like the people at the top, kind of like what the old Blizzard heads would be like, where it's like, hey, we're gonna champion RTS until we got bought out, and they're literally like, fuck you. What are you doing here? This makes no money. Stop. Right? It's usually a CEO or somebody in a power position that is like, you know what? Fuck it. This is part of the tradition. We all love this. It's part of our brand. There's the core people are still tuning in. They enjoy it. It's part of their lives. We like providing this stuff. And you know what? We'll take some of our loss on our marketing or whatever on the back end, and we'll figure this out. We'll keep it going. Obviously, we can't do as much as we used to, but it's there as like a skeleton. I think there's a lot of that goes on, but maybe I'm wrong. And
I'm sure. Like, it depends on who owns them, right? Clearly, if they're gonna soak it up or not. How much are they going to allow? But if there's one thing I think we've probably noticed in the last 10 years, especially, is that the people that are often making the decisions now or at the head of these companies are not people from within the industry. They're taken from outside the industry and plugged in, and they have they don't zero fucks to give about the industry at all. They're there specifically to turn out a bottom line number for the company, and they don't give a fuck about anything. They have no attachment. So it's probably pretty rare now for that to happen, unless it's still either not privately owned, but like it's still owned by somebody that gives a fuck, basically, is what you need. And that's a very finite number of people. I will say this while you were talking there, I was looking up, trying to get some numbers just to get us an idea of like what Game Informer was working with before they closed. And it looks like their latest posted figure for their global, because this was a magazine that they had global distribution for. Their most recent number, which would have been sometime between 2017 and today, was over 6 million people. And in their most recent figures for subscription cost, you were looking at, I think, somewhere around $20 for the year. And so they were probably, and at their peak, they employed 40 people. That was their absolute peak number of employees. So if they were losing money right now, I can't imagine they were like hemorrhaging money at some great speed. In fact, odds are they were probably
6 million users paying $20 a year.
That's the most recent figure that they had on their website. And then Wikipedia has 7.5 million in 2017. I think it was. Yes, their peak was in like 2011 of 8 million. No, so it's 7.5 in 2017. Their most recent figure on their website when it was 6 million. So sometime in the last 5 or 6 years, it was still floating 6. So unless they, and their decay rate between 2011 and 2017, so that 6-year period, was only 500,000 people. Because it's a global publication.
I thought it'd be way worse.
So let's say they decayed at like a crazy rate, and they had between 2017 and now, like they're down to 2 million people. 2 million people at $20 US a year for less than what would have been clearly less than 40, because 40 employees is what they had at their peak, is probably still turning profit. They're not printing money, but the odds of them losing it seems pretty fucking small.
Yeah, but then again, if you're hemorrhaging that hard over a period of time, sometimes, you want to bow out while you're still making money instead of dragging it on to the point where you're at 2 million, 1.5, 1.2, 1 million, and just a slow, gradual death. Just take your money, cash out, that was
GameStop. This GameStop came in and closed them out because they own Game Informer. So this wasn't Game Informer on their own saying, all right, guys, we're at peak. This was GameStop walked into the office with basically no heads up with the HR team and said at the end of the week, it was like the weekend, show's over. And everyone was like...
this kind of surprised me. And once again, this just shows my ignorance. Like 6 million people are still subscribed to this for $20 a year. I mean, that's way more than I thought. Way more. Way more.
People like still there's still a lot. I mean, globally, 6 million people in the grand scheme of things.
I know it's not that big.
It's not much
for a global, but I mean, still, that's a lot of people. At $20 a year. I mean, that's decent money.
That's several dollars.
I can't see them losing money on that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like, if you have certain writers, you pay them a modest salary. I mean, even if you're paying them, the beginners like $60K a year, the top ones 6 figures. I mean, you're still fucking. I mean, at least I would think you're still making tons of money. But what do I know?
And there's, and I have to imagine after being in the business for 33 years, they've got the distribution cost thing down to a science. So they're paying money to have this thing printed on paper and everything else, and it's a high quality magazine. But I agree. I can't possibly envision that they were just bleeding money to the point where they couldn't have at least let them finish the current fucking issue that they're on, and then write have their editorial team write thank you messages to everyone for 33 years of fucking, hanging in there and enjoying their shit. Just to walk in, it's just such a. But then again, it's GameStop.
It's GameStop, bro. It's a meme. It's a literal meme.
It's an actual meme.
They got a bunch of money off the meme, and now they're just out there.
It's got to be money. It's got to be money laundering at this point, right? Because there's no other reason for that company to even still be alive. Like, they can't possibly be making now. That, if you told me, is not making money, I'd say yes. Funko Pops can only fucking give you so much revenue.
Their stocks have sure made a ton of people a ton of money. I'll tell you that. Yes. Holy fuck.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is like an advanced form of money laundering at this point. I don't even think it's fucking legit. It's crazy. But anyway, so there you go. Unfortunate to pour one out for Game Informer. And if you have some copies, hold on to them. Because at this point, they might actually be worth something in the future.
I've got like a lot.
Especially if you've got because you got one in like a haul from a yard sale.
I got like a huge tub. I mean, like a fucking. And it's not just those, dude. The amount of I was going through some of my retro stuff, and you should see the sheer amount of gaming guides I have. And I went on eBay and I looked up a few of them, dude. The prices of these guides are in fucking insane. I mean, like, to the point where you're going, what? $300 for this? $150 for this book?
And it's not even hardcover. It's like just like a paperback fucking guide.
Oh, it's crazy. I'm so happy I didn't get rid of all that stuff. I just kind of threw it all in and it's there.
Well, you know what it probably is now? is that as retro gaming collections and stuff become more common of a thing people are doing, or and perhaps to a degree that they're getting harder to find over time,
Yeah.
is that people are probably hyper focusing on a smaller selection of games where they want to own a bunch of different stuff for that one specific game. So they want the complete inbox, they want the game guide, they want the, let's say Game Informer gave them a front page, cover one year. Let's say we want a Game Informer, shit like that. They're probably looking for that kind of stuff, and so that will run the value up like substantially. And like you said, a lot of people just throw that out. So odds are, even if they were a mass publication, if it's not beat up and torn to pieces and highlighted by an 8-year-old, it's probably going to be worth a few dollars.
Yep.
But what are the condition of the most of the ones that you have anyway?
Oh, they're all minty.
Oh, okay. Well,
like 90% of them are just mint.
God damn.
Yeah.
Brian and I never really owned. Well, actually, none of us on the street did. We printed, which really, if you think about it, we probably spent
Game
more money
FAQs on paper and ink.
More money on paper and ink. My dad definitely started to. At one point, my dad was like, "So, could we slow down on this
Game
shit?"
Is that website still a thing?
GameFAQs?
Game
yeah,
FAQ?
GameFAQs is still around. Yeah. It's still a thing.
Oh my god.
Still very active.
It looks
forum.
identical.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
It looks
like GameFAQs, Reset Era. There's still a couple of like very prominent game forums that are still a thing. But yeah, we were plowing through shit. And at some point, I said, I remember Dad said to me, "All right, fine, you can do it, but you got to at least double-sided printer this shit because we are just memeing paper right now." Because you print a guide on GameFAQs, and like the first 4 pages were just ASCII art of various like bullshit before you even.
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of dots and shit, like creating a symbol of some sort, and it's like you got to scroll down to page 12.
Shout out to
start.
the GameFAQs creators, bro. These guides were so good. If you bought an actual guide, it was dog shit, and then you go on like GameFAQs, and it was the most detailed second by second breakdown of every single thing to do in the game. Shit was crazy. God bless GameFAQs.
Bless.
In an unexpected, speaking of sudden shutdowns of companies, in an unexpected turn of events, PUBG owner Krafton Inc. has moved in and bought Hi-Fi Rush studio Tango Gameworks. That happened just this past week, or within the last week. That was not something anyone had on their bingo card, for sure. But and I have here in my notes. I'm uncertain. I tried to look into it, and maybe I just didn't look hard enough, but I know that they did buy the Hi-Fi Rush name off of Microsoft. So they have Tango and they have Hi-Fi Rush, and they said that their plan is to support them to continue making Hi-Fi Rush games. So that's like the primary driver. However, the other 2 high-profile game series underneath that studio, which was the more recent Ghostwire Tokyo, and then the horror game series, The Evil Within, I can't find whether or not they also went out of the way to buy those IP or if those are still sitting with Microsoft. So at the moment, it looks like Krafton said, "We just want you to make another Hi-Fi Rush game, so go and do whatever the fuck that is." Also, what I found is that it appears that, because the next question people had was, well, they'd already kind of dissolved the company out, so do they even have, like, are the people that were on Tango as talent, are they also part of this thing? And it seems like a good chunk of the people who were there at the time of closure are staying with the company, moving to Krafton. And so at this point, all I'm going to say, I said this in a tweet, I said it would be poetic justice if they come out and they do like Hi-Fi Rush 2 and it's a banger and it gets like crazy high scores and it sells good copies. And then it will just be Microsoft there with the dick in their hand, just be like, well, that was a dumb thing to do. But conversely, if they don't have enough of the talent returning and they can't quite make, a banger, then Microsoft will be justified in their closure of the studio. So now we got to wait and see which of those 2 scenarios come to fruition. Either way, I'm happy at least that somebody is going to be making another Hi-Fi Rush game, because under Microsoft, we weren't getting any of it. That was going away into the fucking Disney vault for an unknown period of fucking time, to, you know, maybe or maybe not ever see the light of day again. And so this was a step in the right direction. And honestly, who the fuck, if you and I sat down and we just spitballed, who might want to buy Tango Gameworks if Microsoft's closing them down? Ain't not a single fucking breathing human would have been like, oh, what about the people that own PUBG? That sounds like the right company. Nobody was gonna say that shit. Crafton would not even be, like, in a dumb brainstorming meeting. You would have to list every modern game fucking, like, publisher at this point to be able to just accidentally say Crafton. So, very surprising, very interesting development. And I wish them all the best, because Hi-Fi Rush was a fucking dope video game, and I hope they are able to make another dope video game. It would be marvelous. But yeah, there you go. Oh yes, in more random fucking news. This has been a very odd couple weeks for random news. It's been a long while, and the last one I will say was just okay. But a new Darksiders was announced just in the last week or so. Which I guess, if memory serves, would technically be, you would imagine, the last one before they'd have to start making some serious shit up, because there are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and they've done 3 Darksiders. So if my math is mathin', this should technically be the 4th horseman that we haven't seen yet, and I can't remember which 4 horsemen they've already technically done to this point. I can't remember anymore. So. We will have to see. I think it's been war. Is it war? Famine? I can't fucking remember. It's been a hot minute. Either way, this will be the 4th one. I didn't think that they'd actually get it done because the last game was so mid. And in the world of video games right now, mid is just like, nobody invests in mid anymore. It's just like movies. It's like, are you going to make $1 billion? No, go fuck yourself. It's kind of where we're at right now with games. So I never in a million years, I never expected that to happen either. Next thing you know, we're going to find out Crafton bought out the fucking studio to make Darksiders. Some other weird shit's going to go down. But either way, there you go. I really like the first 2. Did you ever play any of those back in, like, because those were like early 2000s?
So. No, I didn't get into
them. They're like, especially the first 2 games, like if you took the N64 GameCube era Legend of Zelda formula, but then painted it death metal. And then it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So instead of Link, you were playing as, like, the first game, if I'm not mistaken, was War. And then the next game was the next horseman, and the next game was another horseman, and it's an ongoing kind of saga. I don't know if they based it on like a comic series that was, you know, where they got a lot of this from. If that sounds right in my head. Either way, they had great art style, played really, really well, good music. Mark Hamill did the voiceover for a returning character in the series. Yeah, it was just really solid, good fun combat, and so we'll see if they can do better with this one. Because yeah, the third one was just the wheels fell off a little bit on the last one, so you know, we'll try to get the wheels back on for the 4th. Okay, and this story is developing, Mr. Black. Because just before we went live, it's just more and more shit has been unfolding here. But Deadlock, which is a game name that's been floating around for just a hot minute here, is a game that everyone is pretty, this is my notes, is pretty certain Valve is making, despite them not actually acknowledging its existence until about 40 minutes ago. But they weren't even acknowledging that it existed, and it's not a released game yet, but it continued to pop up on the internet with videos on YouTube, and people were posting on social media and shit with gameplay of the game. I actually have it there if you want to watch a little while I'm yapping here, Mr. Black, before I hand it off to you. So it continues to pop up with videos and whatnot, and despite not technically existing, and again, this is before just 40 minutes ago, so this is a developing thing. There were a great number of people with playtimes listed on Steam for the game. And like I said, with gameplay all over YouTube, and Steam charts had the game peak out at almost, or around, I should say, 18,000 concurrent players, like this week.
Damn, that's like
So
3 or 4 times the amount of Stormgate players. It's great.
yeah, and that game doesn't even exist yet. So that's pretty good.
Because it's Valve, right?
It's a Valve 6v6 shooter. I mean, like that's going to do, you're going to do numbers. So yeah, it is a 6v6 shooter. It's like a 6v6 shooter. I would call it a 6v6 shooter MOBA. There are like almost creeps that you'll see in there as well. Kind of in the sense that like it's almost like Smite, but with guns. Very TF2 style visual. And so yeah, so like if you saw this game and you had nobody told you what it was, you would immediately recognize it as a Valve game. You wouldn't even have to fucking like it is
for sure.
It is a Valve game. And from the video I just sent Jeff, I watched a bunch of that. It's it looks like it's beta level, and I mean if you're into the 6v6 stuff, it looks as good as any other 6v6 game I've seen in a while. So, I mean, that's like your baseline, and it's Valve. So, if you're going to gamba on whether or not the game is going to be pretty good, their track record is that they make good video games, especially in that genre. If you're going to take Dota 2 and you're going to mash it with TF2, I'm sure they can figure out how to make that not completely dog water. But yeah, it looks okay. I wouldn't say it blew my fucking non-existent hair back. It just looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fine.
It looks fine.
It looks like a Valve 6v6 shooter MOBA style game. That's what it looks like.
You don't even have to see the video. You could most people would be able to literally see that in their mind, and I promise you if you went to go search the video afterwards, it would look exactly how you fucking picture that in your mind. But I mean there are invites going out now. I think it's one of those invite structures where once you're in, you can invite other people. So you're going to see this snowball probably pretty quick over the next, few days going into the weekend. We're going into so this weekend, that 18K is rookie numbers. We're going to pump those numbers up. That shit's going to be probably skyrocketing as they continue to have these invites spread far and wide. My question to you, Mr. Black, even though this is a Valve game, Valve's most recent kind of attempt to get into, making more games or making another game that was in a popular genre that they probably shouldn't have failed was Artifact, the card game. Some people probably don't even remember it exists. Jeff just realized that he remembered that it exists. His face just lit up. Oh, wait, that was a video game. Yes, it is indeed. Artifact was a game, and nobody thought, including us at the time, that could have possibly gone wrong, because taking the success of Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone and putting it in Valve's camp with Valve's online marketplace.
Oh yeah.
Like how the fuck do you how do you fail? Well, they did. I can't even remember the reasons why it failed. I don't know if it was because the game just sucked dick or what, but it failed. So it's not like this is a guarantee. However, if you're going to ask me, can Valve do a shooter that mashes up Dota and TF2? I say that the odds are much higher than they were with a card game, because it's as close to their current successful formulas as you could possibly get. I will ask you though, Mr. Black, as we've seen Overwatch kind of like roller coaster itself up and down, and it's kind of the premier competitor in this space. It's the closest thing. It doesn't have creeps, but it's probably the closest thing still active today. People will say Battleborn probably, which is a game that no longer exists. I think Battleborn was under EA or something at the time. Do you think that it will just be brute force? It's Valve, so it's going to be at least mildly successful, or do you think is there enough people that give a fuck about more 6v6 hero shooters? Like we've got such a stable, do the creeps make the difference? Because we got Valorant, we've got Overwatch, these are big fucking titles. What do you think?
I think, yeah. I think, I don't think people are like screaming for another one, but I think when you've got a name like Valve behind it, it looks nice. Like it looks fine. I think people are always looking for a new thing to get behind. It's just a matter of if it's good or not. I feel like with this type of game, you know, they could be targeting MOBA players and targeting, you know, first-person shooter players, everything else in between. It's not too hyper realistic. It's still very cartoony. It's very Team Fortress 2. So it doesn't look intimidating to play. And you know, people are looking for games to play with friends. I don't think that the market's screaming for one, but I think that the market would accept it with open arms, and it'll do really well if the game is legit, if the game is good.
Yeah, that's kind of where I sit. I don't think anyone's screaming for it. I don't think that if you asked somebody to sit down and say, what would you like Valve to do next, as long as it wasn't Half-Life 3, you know, what is it that you would want? What? What is it that you would want, you know, that your next Valve game to be? I don't know if this would be what they'd put together. They might say, you know, Team Fortress 3. I don't think that they would describe this, but they might say Team Fortress 3. However, I think that this is probably coinciding development time, or like taking some tech from and whatnot, what they did with the updates to Counter-Strike, for example. And this does fill a market niche in that while you have Smite as a more pure third-person MOBA, it's not a shooter. Battleborn is gone. Smite 2, yeah. Oh, that's true. But again, I guess as long as you put guns in the game, it changes it enough where people will look at it differently. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is gonna do. I'm sure this is gonna do fine. I wish I was more excited about it, because it's been a hot minute since I've been excited about any multiplayer game at all. But you know, I'm not really the market guy. You know, I'm not in the market for a 6v6 MOBA shooter, but maybe it will convert me. You never know. I mean, it could be a banger game, and I think that's, you know, like we were saying, I think that's going to be what it comes down to, is that people will see that Valve made it, and then it will just be as simple as, is the game good or not, and then it will do at bare minimum well. That will be its floor will be it's doing okay, and we'll go from there. But yeah, the gameplay, it's fine. It looks fine.
Gameplay.
Yeah. It's gameplay. That's all I've got for game-related stuff, except to ask the question, the burning question. Now that Stormgate has had its first major patch, how are we feeling about post-patch Stormgate, Mr. Black?
I mean, I feel better than the last patch. The last patch was Celestials. It was basically unplayable, but we still played it. So they got out the first patch pretty quick. I think it took them like maybe 11 days or so. This patch is still broken. I mean, when they fix certain things, they broke other things, and it's going to be a back and forth. I'm having a lot of fun. I still have my worries. You know, Frost Giant has been in my stream quite a bit, and I'm just, I literally
some
don't
poor bastards getting paid to listen to you scream Argentina.
Well, the guy, I mean, the guy that's been chilling in my chat, like he hit me up on Discord and shit, and he was very, very helpful. Like, because I didn't get to name my unit, so he's putting that through.
Right.
But yeah, he's like, you know, been a big fan of Leg TV, watching you for years, so on and so forth. And I'm sitting there, I'm on stream, and I'm fucking
just losing it,
going in on this game, bro. I'm like, this is fucking shit. I'm like that, like I'm going hard, and I'm going hard in the paint. And like, dude is just casually chatting, you know, answering questions from people in chat. Is very, you know, being very fucking, you know, understand. I think they know this is part of the process too.
Taking it on the chin.
Just taking it on the chin, and I gotta commend them for it, because you know, there are some streamers that like they don't really say what's on their mind because they don't want to either upset hurt feelings or turn their community off on the game or, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there are some streamers that literally will just fucking cut it up. I'm one of those people, but I also give praise when it's due. It's not me just shitting on the game all day. It's me shitting on the game like 65% of the day. But that other 35%, but the biggest compliment that I can give it is I put like 108 hours into this game since early access in less than 2 weeks. It's an obscene amount of time. And I'm the type of guy that I only can fake shit for so long. If I don't like something, I will bow out. So I am still playing it. I'm still happy to play it. But it's still very frustrating on how broken it is. And I've spent a lot of time with it now. So I'm probably going to do another video kind of giving like my thoughts after 100 hours of playing it and a patch. And, some things are better. Some things are, I wouldn't say worse, but some things are better. Some things are the same. And then some things became more of an issue since the last patch, put it that way. Not overly enthused with how many people are playing the game. I think they peaked at like under 5,000 since it came out. Like, I mean, even on the 13th when it went public for like $0, it didn't even peak as what it did in early access. Now, with that being said, there are more people playing the game now, but there's just, I was hoping that there would be at least, 15 to 20,000 people playing this game. And it's not, it's not it. Now, with that being said, you still get games very quickly. You don't feel that the player base is small. But at the same time, I also understand that there's a lot of people that played the game and put it down and then said, hey, I'm going to play this again. Like, there's going to be people that are going to play the game each patch. You put it down, you play it. Okay, it's not ready yet.
Come back again.
I'm going to let it go, come back again another, few weeks, a month, whenever they do a patch. In my chat, he did say that, it is going to be a little bit of time, essentially. I don't want to say the wrong things, and I don't want this to be on Reddit, but essentially, they're trying not to be too reactive too quickly, simply because, number one, they're still working on things that the game needs, opposed to continuously patching and micromanaging people's complaints all the time. They're taking note of them. They're doing it graciously. Like I said, they're in my channel. I'm probably one of the more vocal people. And some of my stuff just comes out of passion and out of if I'm on tilt, right, I just get worse because I'm just I'm in a bad mood. But I ham it up some. It's kind of my brand. It's what I do. But at the same time, like, there's legitimately rage-inducing things that is in this game. The pathing in this game is awful. It's really, really fucking bad. It's horrendously bad. It might actually be the worst thing about the game right now. Even more so than art design, the balance. The pathing is horrendous. And they will inevitably fail as an esport if they don't fix that. It is awful. It's really, really bad.
Is it? Well, it's clearly partially because there's actual unit collision, and so that makes pathing significantly more challenging than a game that allows for even a semblance of unit stacking. You know what I mean? There's actual full-blown unit collision. So, are there specific units in which this seems to be the worst?
It's all of them. It's the way that some units are worse than others. Like the scouts are really bad because they're just kind of janky to play with in the first place. It's really kind of hard to explain the way that their movements are and stuff. But when it comes to the terrain, there's like weird pixelated things where units get trapped when they shouldn't be trapped, and especially as Vanguard, where you're using bobs to build everything. With the Celestial, you don't have workers. You just kind of build structures, and then same goes with the Infernals. You just put down kind of structures. With Bobs, with Vanguard, you actually have to take your Bobs like an SCV and go and build said structures. And when you're doing that, if I were to say highlight 3 Bobs to go and build a habitat, essentially, if there isn't the perfect path for them, 1 or 2 Bobs will just kind of like, and they'll do it indefinitely. They won't. It's like, okay, that path isn't working. Let me find a secondary route. It's kind of like going on a GPS and you punch in, okay, I want to go to the Halifax Shopping Center. You go to the Halifax Shopping Center and there is a dead end, or there's construction and a road is closed, but the GPS hasn't updated it yet, and it's telling you that this is the fastest way to go. And normally they will tell you a secondary route that may be an extra few minutes, but like it's a detour. Well, for whatever reason, the detour just isn't kicking in, and the car, or I guess in this case, the unit just wants to go this one route, and it will not go any other route until you physically take it, kind of move it into the direction, almost like shift left click your way, or right click your way to the position that you need to go. It's brutal. And it seems like it's nitpicking, but in an RTS,
oh, that's massive.
It is one of the most fundamental things that you're already doing a lot. You just expect mechanically the game to do what you tell it to do, and it just doesn't do it. And not only that, you're already playing with a race that is underpowered, and then you're adding on top of these things that the other races, sure, they have pathing issues too when it comes to like unit placement, moving out, what they're doing with the maps, or trying to get around other units, stuff like that. But it's a really big deal for Vanguard because it's the Bobs that, like, they are your foundation. And that's my biggest, by far, my biggest gripe of the game. It is egregiously bad. It is so bad that, like, I have no idea how we even got here without them literally stopping everything they're doing to get this thing right. If they don't fix the pathing, this game is doomed. It's legitimately doomed. From a professional standpoint, I'm confident they'll get there, but man, it's so tough. Like, I've been watching more streams now, like in the mornings when I wake up, or at night, I'm laying in bed, and almost every like serious RTS player, this is what they bitch about. It's what they're bitching about the most, is the pathing, and of course the balance. But you know, it's so bad that the artwork, the art design now, it almost seems like people have almost accepted this, and they don't really talk about it all that much anymore. You got the odd person's like, "Oh, this game's fucking ugly. What the fuck? It's 2024. What is this? Why does StarCraft 2 look better than this?" But you know, now it's like, what is this? Where did the $32 million go? You know, how are they going to survive? They seem confident. I'm still fucking championing this. I'm not the type. I just get obsessed with these types of games, right? So
yeah.
It's either, for me, it's either I'm all in or I'm all out, right? So I'm pretty much grinding this game out. You know, and it pretty much hurts me in almost every conceivable way. Career-wise, is not the most popular game, but here I am, still fucking playing it. Enjoyment level, I'm having fun, but at the same time, it's very annoying. It's still very early access. But yet I'm still there. The only thing that they got to get used to is just me calling out the bullshit and venting on it until shit is fixed. And that's just me. But I'm behind this game, man. I want this game to work. I really do. But I'm not going to lie to people when they ask me what I think is wrong with the game. I'm going to tell them what's wrong with the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, which is, you know, it's what they need. They need that stuff. There are things that just surprise. Like, there are some things that surprise me about Stargate and where it's at right now. Or Stargate, Jesus Christ, Stormgate, and where it's at right now. Because like you said, it's like somewhere between $32 and $40 million in funds currently invested into this game to this point.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they've spent all 40 of it up to this point, probably not, but that's what they're sitting on to develop it up to whatever in terms of rounds of funding. But if you told somebody that was how much money this game had, up to this point to get it to, when they are comfortable enough to put this into early access on Steam for people to then start playing. Most people would tilt their head at that and go, really?
Yeah.
$40 million. This is what we're jumping off of. Like we're opening the monetization options in the store already, and this is where we're at with $40 million. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence
I don't know if they
a lot of people.
I don't know if they spent 40 million so far. I think it was
but that's like 32. Well, call
32. Yeah.
Okay.
Say
$32 million. $30 million. They had $30 million. Most people look at that and go, how?
Well, I don't know if they spent the whole 30 or 32, right?
No, that's what I said before, is that they haven't gone through it. But what I'm saying is that they have 30. Yeah. However much of they spent. They had 30. And they are already opening up the monetization shop in game for people to spend money.
Well, not only that, the part that upset a lot of people is if you were a backer on Kickstarter and whatnot, or you bought early access, they're still looking for money. There's still there's still options to buy things, and
this early.
You would think that the ones that are championing you, the ones that went in the Kickstarter, now to be fair, they have delivered the things that they said they would deliver.
Yes, yeah.
Nobody's disputing that. But the problem is now they've added extra things that people could buy, when in reality what they should have done is said, hey, since you guys are the first ones in and you guys have been supporting us, giving us feedback, doing all this stuff, if you had already got the whatever edition or whatever the case may be, all this stuff in the beginning is on the house, like it's yours. And then because we're not expecting to have free stuff forever, you know what I mean? But make people feel like they're VIP, you know what I mean? Like make people feel like, hey,
here's my take on that. Here's my take on that, and this is kind of my gripe with some Kickstarter stuff to begin with. Although the games that I've gone in on Kickstarter have not released in early access, they've just released. If you are going to go into Kickstarter and raise money for a game, even if you were to probably state it, most people that are going to spend any reasonable amount of money on this Kickstarter are going to assume that they are going to get the game and all that comes with it for its 1.0 release. Not the early access, we just got this out the door, and we still don't even have animations on faces yet type shit. But like, if I bought the Ultimate Edition on Kickstarter, I expect to get everything that would come with that game for its 1.0 release. I don't want shit that comes after 1.0, but I want everything that's the full fat game that you have raised money to create. Because Stormgate right now is not the game they raised money for on Kickstarter. Stormgate right now is the prototype that they can start testing people with for the game that they raised money for on Kickstarter. So I can see that why people might be a little bit turned off by the fact that if they spent money on like the Ultimate Edition on Kickstarter, that they come out, they turn the monetization on, and then they start releasing a hero for a campaign that I gotta be honest is fucking dog shit. In every conceivable way, it's bad. And if I was gonna harp on this game at all, it would be, why are they even... Stop. But to do that, I stand behind the people salty 100%. And it's something I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, is that probably the thing that, if I had to guess, that will kill this game, if anything kills it, it will be that Frost Giant Games consistently shows that they are horrific at first impressions for everything that they do. Yeah. They are awful. They do the worst possible thing in every scenario, and then they have to play catch up and kiss ass every single fucking time. My other thing that I'll say about it, and this is coming from somebody just watching from the sidelines, is that you really should have, in the year 2024, for a strategy game, you pick one of two fucking lanes to start, especially if you're going to go early access. And we're not talking 1.0 release. You pick a lane. You're just doing the multiplayer portion. Or you're just doing the campaign. Do not take $32 million and then open a cash shop and then release a game that's got half-baked multiplayer and half-baked. It's not even half-baked. It is 1/10 baked campaign.
Oh, it's baked.
It's baked on some.
Baked. Yeah.
Don't do that. You're not pleasing either side, and you have to spend resources to float both sides, and neither are ever going to be good enough to make people happy to get people to play your game, because for an RTS, as we talked about long before this game came out, your primary way of getting anyone to play an RTS, or most games, honestly, today, is through people sharing your game on YouTube, on Twitch, on social media. Word of mouth for an RTS is super meaningful. And that's regardless if it's for the multiplayer portion or the campaign or the co-op. Because we all know that, for example, co-op for StarCraft did gangbusters. They sold buckets of fucking co-op shit. So if your primary goal is to come out and smash it early and then do multiplayer later, good. But don't do both at the same time, because clearly it has not paid off for them whatsoever. I watched a montage of the cutscenes from the existing campaign.
Bad, bro.
I got to be honest, it hurt me to watch. It was painful to watch. The voice acting was bad. The writing was goddamn atrocious. Like intern high school graduate level writing on that shit. The animations, I would say, were bad if there were any. But good news, there weren't. The models look, at best, to match Frozen Throne. That's their peak. That is the high end of model fidelity. Is Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne with maybe 15 to 20% more polygons, if I'm being generous. And if it's more than that, then they have somehow managed to find a way to engineer them to look like they're less than that. Somehow. Horrible. Why anyone... anyway.
I know. Anyway, trust me, I know.
Anyway.
I know.
So my gripes with it are that I want it to do well, but they make it very difficult for me to continue to want to get people excited about this game. I don't even know how you're supposed to get people excited about it. What was I going to say? I had something that's fucking gone. I'm over here just molding.
Bro, that ain't molding, bro.
I'm trying to
been molding, bro. I've had some mold. Go and invest 100+ hours into fucking playing something.
No, thank you,
bro. You want to talk about mold? Yeah. Listen, we have to just wait this one out, man. That's just that. We have to wait this one out. It's too early to definitively say yay or nay if this is gonna pan out. My biggest concern right now is what you said. It's first impressions, and their first impressions around every corner have been pretty bad. There has been some wins. There has been some good. I think their patch and how quick they released the patch, which I thought should have been a little quicker, but I didn't realize the sheer amount of stuff that they were going to pack into the patch. So I think what they did is they over-delivered on the patch in terms of the bugs they fixed, all of the audio cues and weird shit that was going on that I was bitching about. It's almost like they were in my stream listening to me bitch over and over and call it out every single time it happened. Just every time your units are under attack. No, they're not. No, I'd just say, no, they're not. I'd go over there. They're not under attack. All that shit is gone.
The world's loudest trees.
Yeah, exactly. The weird audio. They patched all that stuff. There was a ton of bugs that they patched. They addressed not only what I think that they did fantastic was when they released the patch, then they had a secondary post on all of the patch changes and why they made the changes. They went into detail on everything, and it all made sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow, Blizzard didn't even do that, like, didn't do it at this level. This is great stuff. This is like, bro, we're listening. We've made these changes. This is great, blah, blah, blah. I thought when they did that, man, I immediately, like instantaneously, forgot how bad the pre-patch was and how upset I was with this game. And I'm like, wow, these guys are doing something right here. Man, if they keep this up, this is amazing. And then you play the patch for a good 10, 20 hours and you're going, oof. Yeah, I'm starting to forget all this good that they just did in the last little bit, and I'm starting to get angry again. And the sentiment, and I think also part of it too, is when you're streaming the game, you've got a ton of people coming in here, and like the 9 times out of 10, the first thing they say is, what is this budget-ass StarCraft game? What the fuck is this? And it's like, it's just about every single first impression is something negative. I have barely heard somebody see the game for the first time and go, whoa, wow, what is this?
Nobody.
No, where do I download this game? I rarely see it. It's happened a few times, but I mean, it's the vast majority is going, what is this this mobile garbage? What the fuck is this? And then, like, as they watch it, and it's funny because in one of the reports, they're like, the more people play the game, the more they enjoy it. The more they watch it, they start to understand, they start to see. But like, first impression, again, it's dog shit. Now imagine if it even looked as good as StarCraft 2. At least, even if the game is broken or there's a lot of glaring issues, at least from a first impression standpoint, it looks good. It looks intriguing. It looks like something you want to try out. This, it's like, ooh, what is that? It's like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they've got all of these great dishes, and then they've got, like, one dish that, like, looks like ass. It looks dry, like it's been under the bulbs for 3 hours. And it's like, it's like it's been sitting there and nobody's really touching it. But then everybody, as they're walking through, they go, ooh, what's that? They all say, like, what's that? But then you've got, like, a few people that are grabbing it, and you're sitting at the table and you're watching the people at the table eat this food. You're going, what the fuck? Why are they eating that? It's the nastiest shit in the buffet. And you're sitting there, you're eating all this, stuff. You're eating the good stuff, and you're looking over there, and they seem to be enjoying it. Maybe one person at the table is like, ooh, what the fuck? But people are eating this, but everybody sees it, and they go, what the fuck? What is this? That's what Stormgate is. It's that thing in the buffet that everybody, like, sees.
Dry
and they
as
don't
hell.
really, they're just dry as hell. So then they walk over to the table and go, what the fuck is that? What does that taste like? You know what I mean? It's not like, ooh, that looks good. I got to try that. You go to a buffet, you're like, ooh, damn, yeah, let me that. It looks delicious. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to try it. It looks great. That ain't Stormgate, man. You almost got to force feed them the shit. And then when they go in there and there's a problem and you're like, dude, this game sucks. That's been me. I'm like, this game is fucking shit. What's up with this pathing, man? What the fuck? Garbage. And somebody in chat goes, man, is this like StarCraft 2? I'm like, motherfucker, don't you dare speak the name StarCraft and put it in the same sentence as Stormgate. The fuck is wrong with you? This isn't, dude, no. Put some respect on StarCraft's name, man.
But you know what? To that point, here's one of my other gripes with Frost Giant. They're not in chat right now, but if they were to ever see this, I may make the title of this podcast, Stormgate Dev, watch this. This is for this specific moment. Keep the name StarCraft 2 out your goddamn mouth. Please. Stop it. Stop showing in fucking dev vignettes some fucking statue of Raynor, some fucking, random Overwatch. Stop. You are not ready for comparisons with the greatest modern RTS ever crafted, even if you did code some portion of that game. It ain't ready. It might never be. You do not want people to compare Stormgate to StarCraft 2. You know why? Because it will lose every fucking time. And guess what? StarCraft 2 is still 100% available, can be played right now for $0, and has an order of magnitude more people playing it than there are playing Stormgate. Keep StarCraft out your fucking mouths.
Tell him,
please.
Tell him, Will Smith.
Please.
Keep StarCraft 2's name out your motherfucking mouth. Before I get up on stage and slap the shit out of you, motherfucker.
Please.
But I get it. That's part of their marketing. I get it. It's like, we're the team. We're doing the next StarCraft.
I don't
get
it, Mr. Black. I don't understand. It's anti-marketing. It is doing the opposite of marketing.
It is now, but in theory, building up, that was their hook. You know what I mean?
All you do. Here we go. I'm gonna give you the keys to the fucking city. You ready, Frost Giant? You are allowed to say, we were Blizzard employees that worked on one of your favorite fucking games ever, StarCraft. You're allowed to say that you worked on it. That's good. Stop comparing your game to StarCraft. Say that you've got the pedigree. But if you got the pedigree and you're still trying to compare it, but it looks like your game fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down and walks around like somebody that just lost both legs in a horrible car accident and haven't learned how to fucking walk yet, it's not going to go well. You don't want those comparisons. You need to distance yourself as far as possible. You and your 14 people playing it on Steam at any given moment need to fucking keep far away from that shit. Because you're getting, like, they're doing everything. They've got the tasteless showdown with tasteless and Artosis. Like, they're bathing this in StarCraft from every fucking angle. And it's not like, and tasteless and Artosis, just like if we were to sit down and do it, they don't know all the units. They're just saying random StarCraft shit occasionally. Every aspect that you wouldn't want compared to your game is being made at all times, and it ain't ready for it, and you need to stop. Please. Yeah, because
everything's budget. Everything's budget, bro. It's like, what is this budget Zergling, aka the Scout? What is this budget Storm that slows you down?
What is legally distinct Zealot?
Yeah, like everybody is still comparing it to StarCraft. And when they do that, you lose every single time. Like every time, you bring this you bring the same pros from the same names from the same community with the same casters and the same devs and the same lingo and the same. You do all this stuff, and there's nothing wrong with inviting these people, having this stuff, and doing all of this. But the problem is when you do it and your game does not perform at the level of which you are trying to compare, or even more so, be the successor of StarCraft 2. This literally came out of their mouths. We are the next thing. After StarCraft 2, there's us. We are them. We are the team. We are the next esport. We're going to do the campaign and the co-op and the 1v1 and the 2v2 and the 3v3, just like StarCraft. We're going to have amazing storytelling and these intriguing characters and all this. Okay, but when you don't deliver and it's horrible, like I'm talking the campaign side, when it's horrible, the last thing that you want to do is remind everybody on how shit this is in comparison to StarCraft 2. Because although StarCraft 2 has been dying out, rightfully so, over the last several years, seeing as though Blizzard is fucked off away from it. It's been out for fucking 15 goddamn years, and it's an RTS, and we live in a world of a bunch of fucking TikTok Zoomers. Of course, the game isn't going to do as well. But for Christ's sake, the game is damn near 15 years old. If you can't even make it look as good, don't compare yourself to it. At the very bare minimal, StarCraft 2 didn't come out 5 years ago, bro. This is 14 years ago. Not only that, We're forgetting about the 14, 15 years before that with Brood War and the dude, this is an IP with a fan base that is older than some of the people on your fucking team. What are you doing? You cannot compare yourself to a brand and an IP that has been there forever and a day, bro. It's not going to work out for you.
Can I say my shit? Can I say my shit?
Say your shit, bro.
If you take Brood War and you widescreen that bitch and just left everything stock, up-res to 4K versions of those textures, it looks better than Stormgate.
It's still better, yeah.
Because the one thing they want to stand on business over, as they said in that patch thing before the release before, was, we hear you. You think our game looks like unwashed ass. Well, we have an art style and we're sticking to it. They're sticking to unwashed ass. All right? A 25-year-old game outright looks better than your current game. That ain't the hill to die on. Go back in with at least, I understand you ain't doing the models over, but work on some shaders that make your game not look so fucking ass. Please. This is my okay. From my community, who doesn't have as many direct, even though they're Lag TV alumnus and all this shit, they're not direct RTS players as frequently, or they're less so. This is partially also what I hear from them, and it's what I have espoused before. As somebody not playing it, watching it from the outside. So if you're trying to convince me to play your game or whatever, I'm watching this as a potential customer. This is how this reads to me. We're Frost Giant Games. We're made up of a bunch of ex-Blizzard employees that worked on one of your favorite RTSs and one of the greatest RTSs of all time, StarCraft 2. But we're no longer with Blizzard because, well, we didn't agree with how Blizzard was running things anymore and they weren't listening to our ideas. And so we wanted to fuck off and make our own StarCraft with blackjack and hookers. And now we've made it with blackjack and hookers. None of them are animated, but that might come in the future. We're going to compare ourselves to this game fucking forever, but we're also better than this game. We have to be, because if we don't, our egos will be bruised for a second time in 20 years, and we can't fucking take that shit. That's what Frost Giant sounds like right now. They sound like a bunch of disgruntled Blizzard employees.
Dude, it's Frost Giant.
That didn't...
Coming from Blizzard.
Yes,
I mean,
Frost
every
Giant.
part... Frost Giant.
Yes.
I mean, dude.
Everything.
It's all... It's kind of crazy
like
when you think about it, bro.
Salty, disgruntled Blizzard enjoyers that left the fucking company and had a point to prove. We can do it better than you guys allowed us or didn't allow us to do, so we're going to go and fucking do it. And so they went off to fucking do it, and now their whole shtick is we have to be better than StarCraft 2. We have to prove that we had the ideas that were holding Blizzard back from being able to make this game the best game it could have been. And now here we are making it, and I gotta keep it a buck. Your game is fucking you look this bitch up in the dictionary where mid is defined, it is plastered all over that fucking thing with a picture of your cover art girl. I can't remember the character's name. Her face is there. Midcraft. That's actually the real name of this game, is Midcraft.
Yeah. Well, you know, you mean Midgate. That's
Midgate.
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 See? Yeah,
Listen,
Midgate.
I think this game has a lot of promise, and I actually do enjoy watching people play it. But that's because I enjoy watching high-level play of any competitive game in which people have even a modicum of enjoyment themselves while playing it. There is a hefty amount of honeymoon phase happening right now, both from the content creators that are full bore into this shit, from the players who are coming over, from whether they're pulling people out of Kespa for 5 minutes to play the fucking game or otherwise. Everyone is here to meme and have a fucking time, but it's so early. If I had to make a prediction, Do I think that this game is going to get to a place in which they will be able to attract and hold enough people to be anything more than just background noise in the grand, the landscape of the RTS genre in 2024? I don't think that's going to happen. If I'm going to be honest with myself,
not in
if I'm
2024.
No, I mean in general, ever. Ever. I think they are going to be mired in mediocrity because they're already showing that while they are willing to do things like write really cool balance notes, which is great, and everyone should do that if they're running a competitive game of any kind, they should explain why they're making the changes that they do. Some of them do, some of them don't. When you come out and start just digging your heels in on parts of it, you just sound salty. I don't have a lot of faith in that. I've listened to a lot of the stuff on the Tasteless tournament. They ran like the vignettes of like Tasteless interviewing various employees at Frost Giant throughout the whole thing. And it just none of it really, very little, I shouldn't say none, very little was promising. And I will say this last bit is that what really solidifies it for me is that they were willing to put this game out into the wild in the state that it was in, after raising as much money as they did and still running the monetization shop and everything else after they were leaving Blizzard, where everyone has been shitting on them for their horrible monetization strategies and everything else, and then, whatever the fuck else. But maybe we shouldn't be surprised because they named themselves Frost Giant and they continuously fucking bring up and have StarCraft 2 in their mouths every fucking 5 seconds. So maybe we're not going to get, maybe this isn't, it's not going to be different, but it's also not going to be as good as StarCraft 2. It's not even going to be as good as Warcraft 3. I saw somebody say that this is a better Warcraft 3. I said, what the fuck?
Are they fucking...
Are you
high?
smoking?
Are they high on drugs? They got to be on drugs. There's no way that this game, in its current form, do I think it can be better than Warcraft? I think it can. The question is will it? And, somebody asked me yesterday, where do I think the game's going to be when it comes to 1.0? And I pretty much told them, like, I'm nervous we're not even going to get there.
Like, I have a great question for you, Mr. Black.
Like legit.
I'm with you. I agree. I don't even know if you're... or it could be a game where they just never admit that they're at 1.0, because if they do, then the issues that exist...
Then it's over.
Is bad.
Yeah.
And we've seen that a lot these days.
Yeah.
You say that you believe that it is possible for it to become better than Warcraft 3. Both of us played a lot of Warcraft 3, a lot of Frozen Throne. What is it about... and it's going to be pretty hard because when we were playing Warcraft 3, this wasn't after you had become Grandmasters in StarCraft, and so you weren't experiencing Warcraft 3 in the way that you're experiencing Stormgate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is it about Stormgate that if somebody came out, let's say Warcraft 3 never existed, and it was just StarCraft, and then Warcraft 3 was released in 2024 alongside Stormgate. What is it about Stormgate that gives you the impression, or that it would make you think, that it might be better at some endpoint than the Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne formula for the current RTS market, since it does share a reasonable amount of DNA with Warcraft 3.
I think it shares more DNA with Warcraft than it does StarCraft, which funny enough, they don't tote around like we're the next Warcraft. It's always StarCraft, and I think that is more of a strategic thing because StarCraft is still a relevant game and Warcraft isn't. People still play Warcraft. You can play the game right now if you want to, and there's probably a larger playing pool than Stormgate playing Warcraft even today. I could be wrong about that, by the way, but something tells me I'm probably not. Because right now there's 3,500 people playing Stormgate, and the game just got released 2 days ago. Well, I mean, you're kind of switching up on me right now, because what you're saying now is you're saying, okay, well, Warcraft and this game comes out at the same time. Do I think it could be better? Well, if that's the case, then no. Simply from a budgetary standpoint, and Warcraft is just going to be able to do more. But if we're looking back at what Warcraft was.
Well, let's say because let's say the visuals for Warcraft 3 are identical to they were in 2003. Same graphics, same gameplay, same everything. It's just that it never came out in 2003. It came out in 2024. Right? So it's a 20-year-old formula, 20-year-old graphics, whatever the fuck, comes out today versus Stormgate. What is it about Stormgate that would be better serving the market right now than Warcraft 3?
I don't think anything. I don't think it's serving anything for the market that Warcraft couldn't do. But I think it's what it's doing is it's filling a void in which we don't have anymore. Like there is, I think that's the sauce of this game. I know I've been doing a lot of harping on it, and you as well. But what it is doing is it is scratching an itch that a lot of us RTS players. It's not only scratching a nostalgic itch, but it's also it's providing an experience that we haven't experienced in many years. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, there's StarCraft 2 and it's a better experience, period. And you can play that right now. And you're 100% correct. But we've also been playing StarCraft, casting StarCraft, and a StarCraft big part of our life for many years. It gets old, it gets stale. There is no longer that promise that StarCraft or Warcraft, since we're talking about Warcraft, there isn't that promise that things are going to get better. In fact, I think we all kind of realize that StarCraft is at its, final
twilight.
Listen, it's like my dog, right? Like my dog is 12 years old. I can physically see his age.
Yes,
he's not what he was many years ago. He's, pains me to think about it, but he's probably only got a couple, 2 or 3 years left with us. And there's part of me that realizes this and has accepted this. And I still, love my dog and I still love StarCraft. But at the same time, I know that there isn't much of a future with StarCraft in terms of the thought of it kind of blowing up, that there's going to be new things that are coming, that we can still continue to grow and kind of have more years with this. And in reality, we could still have more years with StarCraft. It's just it's not in a growing state. It's in its final years of life, and we can celebrate that life, and we will continue to celebrate that life, and it's still part of our lives. But at the same time, what this game does is we're on the ground floor. It's something new. It's an infant. It's like getting that new puppy. And yes, nothing's ever going to replace Thor. And he's weird that I'm making this analogy, but it's the thing that just comes to my mind. But I get you. I could get another dog, and I can, and that dog may start chewing the furniture and piss and shit in the house, and it's really annoying because it's not trained, and I don't have that emotional attachment, and we haven't had memories together, and I might be annoyed that you're not Thor. Like, what the fuck? I just wish I could have you again and not this again. But the reality of it is out with the old and in with the new. And that sounds really awful when you think about when I'm talking about dogs, but we're on the ground floor together. And because we've lived this life with StarCraft, and we know what worked and what didn't work, and what's great and what isn't great, and the problems that we had and the things that they could have done better. It's like maybe this time we have the opportunity to relive all of the fun and those wow moments that we had with StarCraft, or the wow moments that I had with my dog, and we can recreate those and make something new. It's not going to be the same, and oftentimes it's painful to think that like, hey, the thing that we love is no longer here, and now there's this, but it's not really the same. But that's okay. I don't want this to be another StarCraft. I want this to be Stormgate. I want this to be its own thing. But I also, at the same time, or even when it came to Warcraft, since we're making the comparison, is I don't want another Warcraft. I don't want another StarCraft. But at the same time, this is the genre we're in, and this is the style of RTS of both of those. And what I think that Stormgate needs to do is they need to accept the fact that they're not these games. They may take aspects of those games like any shooter does. You know, people copy off Call of Duty, or MOBAs will copy off League of Legends or whatever and put a little twist and all this other stuff. Look at Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm came out trying to piggy off the backs of League of Legends, and they had the formula, and they tried to do something else with the formula, and ultimately it failed. But I'm happy that they did it that way because they were their own thing. If they tried to just be League of Legends, they would have just been compared to League of Legends, and it would have been a lesser than version because League of Legends dumped way more money, been around much longer, and they already had enough time to get that recipe and understand to get people hooked. It's the same thing with StarCraft. They had the original, they had Brood War, they even had Warcraft, and there were things that they had done where they got to fine-tune things to make StarCraft 2 as great as it was. Problem is Stormgate doesn't have any of that. The only things they have are some people that wrote code for them. You know, this isn't even the full team. This is just a part of the team. You know, some of the other teams are making 2 other different RTSs right now. We don't know what Michael Morheim's doing. He's fucking working on something. We got Justin Lin working on Battle Aces. You've got Tim Morton over at Frost Giant doing their thing. Everybody's doing their own thing. But the difference between, say, Battle Aces and Frost Giant is Battle Aces isn't toting that they're the next big thing, that they are the next StarCraft or the next. They're not doing any of this. They're making their own game. They're doing their own thing. And yes, we know who they are because of their history, but they're not showing it off and saying that, hey, you know, that dog Thor that you love so much, well, we're going to recreate that for you. And then when they package it up and they bring this golden retriever, it's not a duck toller, it's a golden retriever. Yeah, it's a retriever. Hey, this ain't my dog. So why would you give me the promise that I'm getting X when in reality I'm getting Y? And I would have been totally fine with getting Y if you just would have marketed it as Y and it's something different. So when it comes to Warcraft and this game, the reason why I think it can be better is because it's new, it's fresh, although it's not very fresh right now. But it is at the same time. It is something new. It's a bit stale, even though it's fresh. Like it kind of, you know, you go to the grocery store, you get a loaf of bread, and you come home, you realize it's fucking stale. That's why when you go to the grocery store, you gotta like squeeze them a little bit, like they're nice little ass cheeks to see, like, okay, is this good? It's like nobody squeezed this thing before it came out to see if people would actually fucking enjoy this plain white bread that they're fucking giving us. And you know, everybody likes plain white bread, but at the same time, you know, we don't like stale plain white bread. Especially when you're telling me this shit is the second coming of Christ. Like my grandmother, bless her, rest in peace, but she used to make homemade bread. That shit was the shit. That I'm not trying to get this stale ass, you know, whatever the fuck this is. So I think that if they can humble themselves a little bit, stop showing off on like who you are. You know, it's like the UFC fighter. You're only as good as your last fight. You know, people only remember you from your last fight. They don't really care about your fucking career. It's like, what have you done for me lately, business? The gaming industry is the same fucking thing. The movie industry is the same thing. What have you done for me lately, business? I don't care the code that you did for this game, for StarCraft 12 years ago, 14 years ago. What are you doing today? Where can you reinvent the wheel? Can you strike lightning in a bottle twice? Right now they're proving that the answer is no right now, simply because of the comparisons that they put on themselves. If they didn't do that, like we've already harped on for the last 20 minutes, we wouldn't be talking about that specific thing. But I think if they hunker down, they listen to the community, they don't listen too much, but they listen enough, and they stop putting out incomplete garbage, and they actually focus on one or two things and make that great, that I feel like we could be in another Warcraft or another StarCraft type of environment where people want to play the game. They want to create content. They want to compete. They want to play with their friends. They want to do the 2v2s, the co-ops. They want to play the campaign. They want to give the game money. But when you are over-promising and under-delivering and still asking for more, I mean, dude, we live in an environment very differently than what we lived in even 5 years ago. People will tell you your shit sucks. And even if your shit doesn't suck, they will find that one little thing. Dude, I logged in for the first time, the game crashed. This game's garbage. They'll just say that. But like if you approach things differently, you get a lot more grace from people. And they're willing to overlook the small shit. But now they've put themselves into a position because of the hard comparison that people are hyper scrutinizing every part of this game and all of the moves that they make. So do I think that this game can be a better game than StarCraft 2 or Warcraft? I don't know about that. But do I think that it could be as good or a better experience? Yes. I still reserve that opinion that we can get there. But I am nervous that they're going to run out of money because they're focusing on too many different aspects of the game instead of really making the core aspect the best part. And then when they get some success, then adding into it. These guys are already talking about, dude, we're a year out of 1.0, and then we plan to create content for this for years to come. Guys, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Motherfuckers, you got 3,500 people playing your game right now. The fuck are you talking about? You're not Destiny. You don't get a 10-year roadmap, motherfucker. You're sitting there begging people essentially to invest into your company that hasn't really had any. Where are the charts? Where's the money? Where is there? This is just an idea. This is, I don't want to even put in the thing of a Star Citizen where they started playing on people's emotions, where they're like, yo, we're going to create this fucking huge intergalactic thing where you know that EVE Online, we're going to take that and add every type of drug you can, dude, you hate your life, don't you? I know you hate your life. Good. Because we're making a game where you can hate your life, but love your online life. You can basically be this like space fucking cowboy if you wanted to, or cowgirl. You can do whatever it is. You can live a whole new life. That's what they did. They promised the world. I remember watching that first video where I was like, oh my God, if they could pull this off, like, fuck my life, bro. Pack me. I'm going to Star Citizen. I'm going to live in, dude. Stormgate didn't go that far, okay? They didn't go that far. But they were playing on some heartstrings, bro. They're playing on some heartstrings because we know how passionate we are about StarCraft. I mean, it is a religion to some of us. Seriously. Like, it is that is the show, right? It's like Star Wars to some people, or Harry Potter to some people, or, you know, whatever. Like, this is the fucking shit. So I just want them to slow the fuck down and to focus on because they have the talent, but I'm not sure they have the business regimen and it's almost like they're operating as if they are Blizzard, but without the blank checkbook. And the thing is you don't have a blank checkbook. I don't think there's any billionaires running the show over there. Right? You're not Michael Morheim. You can't really just burn money. I'm sure some of them are very well off, you know. I'm sure Tim is cashed in real well off Blizzard and everything else. Like, I'm sure there's money there. But do they believe in their product enough to reach in and grab another 20 million to keep this thing going for another year, or another 50 million to really do a fully fleshed out campaign where it's like it has some real substance to it? Well, I don't know. They're asking for your money, so I'm assuming not. So I know I've done a lot of rambling and stuff, but if Warcraft came out today and this game came out today, do I think Stormgate is going to be a better game than Warcraft? No, I don't. I don't think that, because they're two different studios with two different budgets and two different games, and one IP has been around for a very long time. But the reality of it is we don't have Warcraft, and we do have StarCraft, but they're done with that. We're not getting any more major updates. We're not getting in another expansion. We're not getting StarCraft 3. What we are getting is Stormgate. So it's either we got to accept them and embrace this, or be done with this and just kind of inevitably wait for them to fail. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we will see. But I think that we can get to a place where you and I, or myself, or anybody else can enjoy it just as much as they did StarCraft, and just as much as they did Warcraft, or any other RTS, or any other game. But the thing is they gotta follow through, man. They gotta make this game. Do I think it'll be better than those games? Well, no, I don't necessarily think that they'll be better. I think they'll be different. You know, I think I can get as much enjoyment out of Stormgate as I did StarCraft 2. I truly believe that. I wouldn't just say it, but I'm definitely not getting that right now. Nowhere's near. So it's long-winded, but
no, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good for the content. The way that I look at it is that I'm very interested in the direction they took the game, because, like you said before, it shares more with Warcraft than it does StarCraft.
Yeah.
But they keep pushing themselves as StarCraft
because it's more popular.
Yeah,
you know,
and more current.
More current. Yeah.
But for me, like if I was, you know, what do I know? But if I was sitting down and I was trying to come up with an RTS for today's market that would be able to attract people from outside of the RTS bubble, of which that bubble, as we've discussed before, it's not exactly enormous. It is big, but the RTS genre itself has a lot of different subgenres, and they don't have the biggest crossover in the world. They're usually pretty small pools that will actually bounce between multiple games. If I had to pick one, it would have been Warcraft. You're talking about as long as a floor, as to build off of as a floor. You're talking about the game that spawned Dota 2, which spawned MOBAs. And you are looking that's why I said if it came out today and somebody that does play MOBAs at a high level and they're looking and they're in the strategy space to a degree, maybe as a crossover, if you see a Warcraft 3 in 2024 and there are actual hero units on the board and you're controlling smaller but more substantial armies in terms of the significance of those armies, there are items for your heroes, there are levels for your hero units. All of that kind of stuff gives them an easy inroads to try to entice people that are deep into MOBAs to cross over and try this strategy game. I think that they would have a better success rate at getting people. And really, if you were going to take one genre that you were going to try to grab people from, that's really the only one. And it's that way because it's literally born of the real-time strategy genre in the first place. So I don't know where else you would get your players. So I was interested when they took the creep camps, and then in the campaign they have hero units. But then when it came to the actual online 1v1 scenario, they dropped the hero units, they dropped the itemization and everything, and they only gave veterancy to one race, and then they just gave kind of buffs to the camps in general. I found that really interesting, and then they left the army sizes closer to a StarCraft 2 than a Warcraft 3. And so you crammed a bunch of the StarCraft stuff inside of this Warcraft shell, and kept a lot of the complexity without giving a lot of reasons for people who you're most likely going to draw people from, regardless of what your skill floor is that you say it is. And they talk about having low skill floor, high skill ceiling. their skill floor is not low. So many people are like, this game is confusing as fuck. It's mechanically dense. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It does not read well, etc., etc. So for me, I just found it very weird that they decided to, because they mentioned in vignettes, if I'm not mistaken, talking about grabbing people from other genres that are playing other games to get into RTS with things like a lower skill floor and whatnot. But then they chose a lot of if they're building a Voltron with existing RTS elements to create the great Voltron that would attract me, they chose like the worst possible fucking parts, cram them together, and put it in such a way that I honestly believe right now anyway, the only people playing this game, or 95%, are just, they're you. They are StarCraft 2 players, and that's everyone. And not only that, not only do I think that's a problem, because a lot of people will bounce off and go back to StarCraft 2 anyway, but it's a problem because for whatever tiny portion of people they do convince to come play the game, it's not built in a way that caters to them. It's built in a way that caters to StarCraft fans, which means at best, they're going to be able to possibly enjoy the campaign only. They walk online, especially right now. If somebody, now they made this free to play, accessible to everyone as of the 13th. If I went on right now and I started playing, and I even have like a StarCraft background from casting to build off of, and I've watched enough in the game, the people that I'm playing are like, the floor of competition is way too fucking high. So they got new people coming in. It's already reading poorly for new players that aren't already coming in with a bunch of experience. They're finding it confusing, and then they go online and they go up against somebody that's got 4,000 hours in StarCraft 2, who can pick up the basics of this game in the first 5 matches, who are now folding them like a cheap fucking lawn chair and spitting them out the other side. And then what are you left with except, okay, well, maybe I'll like the campaign, and then they go play the campaign, and the campaign
that's the problem.
Is ass.
Yes, and that has been the argument and the thing that I've been screaming, literally at times, for the last couple of weeks, where it's like, okay, listen, if 90% of the people playing the game are people like me that are just try hard, die hard, like competitive RTS grinders, which 100% they are. I mean, if I were to go online right now and look at the leaderboard, the top 500 people got hundreds of games, and they are literally just grinding this bitch out. And that's that. Dude, I don't ever think that's going to change. I think because the way RTS is it is bred for tryhards like myself to go in there and almost like a Dark Souls masochistic way, go in and grind shit on a non-team based game and challenge myself and get angry at myself or angry at the race balance and go in there and just do that. And that's what we do. That has been Warcraft. That has been StarCraft. That will be Stormgate. The problem is for Stormgate, and the problem wasn't for StarCraft or Warcraft, is they had very, very fun campaigns, stories, characters, co-ops, custom
arcade
games, arcade modes, all of those things. Adam, when you and I first got into StarCraft, for many years, it was all arcade.
Yeah.
All arcade.
Yeah.
Fastest money map possibles, Dragon Ball Z RPG type games, just a bunch of shit, hours on end. I would rarely play ladder. Rarely. I did it, but I would just get wrecked and then just not have fun. And then I would just go, okay, let's go play 7 or 8 map, fastest money map possible, all that other stuff. That's what we did. The problem with Stormgate is they do not have a very good single player or team-based element to the game implemented today. And the vast majority of people are going to play those modes. I know this. Everybody knows this. But with that being said, we also understand in order for this game to have real longevity, it is also off the backs of us, the hardcore players, the esports, the eyeballs, the grinding, the content, all that stuff is what pushes people to get into the game, to experience RTS, to see if they like it, to go into those other modes and to have some fun. Some may adopt the competitive spirit. Others will be like, you know what? I'm going to let all the grinding and the raging, leave that to Maximus. I'll watch him on stream and I'll pick up some things. But hey, when it comes to me playing the game, I just want to play campaign. Once that's done, I just want to do co-op my friends or play some arcade modes or even create custom maps and do whatever that you could do. Those types of players are the ones that bring in the money in terms of like buying things, buy like all that other stuff. Guys like me, I bring in the eyeballs. I bring in the you know, if I'm in front of 10,000 people a day, you know, that's 10,000 people that is seeing the game and that may want to download it and play it, especially since it's free to play. So you need both to exist. You can't just have me and a bunch of content creators or Tasteless and Artosis and all these, you know, Parting and all these StarCraft. There is a place for that, but I think, and it's the reason why I believe they rush this stuff out. And the only thing that I can think of is they need money. That's the only thing I can think of, because ultimately, if they would have just waited and did only early access for the 1v1, right? Maybe put in co-op, right? Something or a 2v2 experience, even though it's not going to be, you know, obviously balanced. You know, if there's balance issues in 1v1, 2v2 is on another level, right? But if they would have just focused and let us be the palette to take the brunt of it and really honed in on the campaign and then release the campaign in 3 months or in 6 months or even waited till 1.0 to like really go, oh guys, I know 1v1 right now, we're just balancing, we're just doing patches, we're getting all this stuff over the next bit, but behind the scenes over the last year, we've been fucking going hard in the paint on this campaign. You're gonna fucking love it. We're gonna get people into characters. You're gonna know characters' names, kind of like Kerrigan, and you know, you're gonna get into these things, and it's gonna be, you're gonna want to play. You're gonna want to tell your friends about this experience. You don't have any of that. Instead, you have, hey, we've got an incomplete 1v1, we've got incomplete co-op, we've got incomplete campaign, we've got incomplete all of this stuff. Play it, enjoy it, but don't worry, it will get better. Well, we don't want it to get better. We want it to get better, but we just wanted it good when it came out. Like, if it's not ready, don't release it. Because first impressions are everything. That is the problem. They need a good campaign, and they need a good non-sweaty modes for the masses to play. That's what's going to give this game a financial future. It isn't guys like me. Like, we're part of the pillar. You need sweaty fucking RTS grinders to play your game. I get it, especially if you want to make it an esport. But Jesus, what is this campaign you put out? Stop the madness, bro. You ain't hooking nobody.
To cap this off. To cap this off, because we could talk about this for like forever.
Oh, I have been.
So to avoid looking backwards all the time, because I think we could sit here and give an entire dissertation on all the ways in which they could have done everything up to this point probably infinitely better to provide better first impressions, to give themselves a better shot, etc. Let's try to be forward looking. Let's say the next year, next calendar year, short term.
Yep.
What are the 3 things that you think that they need to do that could feasibly be done in the next calendar year that give them the best chance at having more than 5 people playing this game online by the time we hit next summer?
They need a large patch every month, once a month. They need statements, progress reports, and everything else twice a month from people. Just like, hey, you know what? Hey, it's been 2 weeks since we give you an update. Just want to let you all know we still hard at work. We've been watching. We've been taking note. You guys are going to really enjoy this next patch, blah, blah, blah. they've been doing well with that. So like if they continue to keep doing what they're doing, I think things will get better, because things are better than what they were pre-patch. They are. They need to do that. They need to not release any more campaign related stuff. I would go as far as making it so that the campaign is not playable. Literally. Like, shut it down. Hey, shut it down in its current state. You know, do that until it's ready, because they've already announced that, like, hey, we're working on animations. We got some new some more vocal stuff going on, and we're tightening up this and this. It's like, well, that's kind of crappy for the ones that are, you know, have already experienced sort of your worst version of this and paid money to do so. That kind of sucks. Obviously, they can't really give refunds, but I think what they're doing is on their next hero that comes out, anybody that had already bought the early access or was on Kickstarter and stuff, I think they're giving that hero for free. So that's a nice gesture. I think more of these things are admitting like they kind of dropped the ball on certain things. At the end of the day, too, these guys are human, right? Like, they're not going to do everything perfect. You know, the only perfect person that history has ever said is Jesus, right? So, like, you know, at the end of the day, we're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna fall short. We're all gonna, you know, have moments. The other thing they can do today is stop comparing themselves to StarCraft. Just be done with that. Period. I think the damage is already done, but, you know, don't continue to. I would just take StarCraft out of their mouths. Period. This is Stormgate. This is not StarCraft. It doesn't mean that they need to cut themselves off from anybody and everybody that's related to StarCraft. Don't do that. In fact, do the opposite. Invite these people. Keep doing these things. But, you know, don't. I'd go as far as even telling people, like, on the broadcasts, stop mentioning StarCraft. Stop comparing the units to other units from StarCraft. Stop. If you're not ready to cast the game, you need to go study. Like, if you're on the main stage, guys like you and I, we can do this shit because we're on a different, our content's just different. But if you're going to have the mainstays in the RTS world,
we're not official creators. If they're putting on like an official tournament or something, that's a different thing entirely.
It's a different story, but they need to do that shit, right? They need to tell these casters, stop mentioning StarCraft. Like, we know it exists, but like, you're just not in a point. Now, would I say all of those things if the game is in 1.0 and it's completely different and it's running like really well? Hey, speak StarCraft, put it into existence. Compare if you feel like your dick is bigger than theirs. But in reality, we're in the gym locker room, right? And Mandingo over there has got a 9-inch soft dong that is almost at his kneecap, and then you've got fucking Billy Joe over here with a micro penis, right? But it's like, hey, you know what? I am the son of a son that worked on StarCraft, so like, it's just in my. No, your dick is small. Put it away. Nobody wants to see that right now, and stop comparing yourself to Mandingo. Right? You're making yourself look dumb. Because your micro penis is now looking like an inverted vagina at this point. This ain't it, right? But you got to stop. So and that's something they can do like now. They can stop comparison right now, right? So they can do these things and stay on top of it. Stop over-promising. Keep expectations chill. We've got a shot, man. We've got a shot. And here's the thing that I think everybody needs to understand. And this is my last thing until next week when I'll have more shit to say. But the last thing that I want people to understand is this game will never, ever, ever, and listen, I would love to be proven wrong with all of my fucking soul, bro. I swear, man, in another 3 years, I want to be so wrong that I want my YouTube comments, my Twitch chat, everybody to spam me for a month straight. You're wrong. You're wrong. Look at this. Look at this. You are wrong. I want to be wrong here. But I can say with confidence that this game will never, ever be at the level of popularity and praise as StarCraft 2 ever was. Never will be. And I think when people understand that and they accept that, they'll begin to accept the fact that the game can still be great. You can still have a fantastic time playing it. There can still be an amazing community, and it can still do very well commercially. But this will never have the religious type of experience that StarCraft 2 has given millions of people around the world. This just will not happen. I've accepted that. I think everybody needs to accept that. And I think Frost Giant, devs, and everybody else in that studio also need to accept the fact that this game will never, ever be at that level. But that doesn't mean that it can't be great and that it can't be amazing and that it can't be just as fun as StarCraft 2. But it's just, and just because it doesn't reach those heights doesn't make it a failure. We're talking a $30-40 million budget, maybe double that by the time this is all said and done, assuming this has some commercial success and they bring in some more money and they do more things. Dude, StarCraft has probably spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this game. These are two totally different things. This is like comparing an A24 film to a Michael Bay Transformer billion-dollar blockbuster, all right? Now, Stormgate is neither of those. Let's just keep that 100 now. No. But it can get to this A24 quality level where it is appreciated and it is something that is amazing, but it just is not at that commercial level success because it doesn't have commercial level appeal. And that's okay. That's okay. But just get us there. Please survive till we get to 1.0, and then we will ultimately make a judgment if this is even deserving of our time, or if they even have years of shelf life, but time will tell. I think they can do it. I personally think they can do it, but I'm going to bitch the whole way.
Well, so that we can survive to 1.0, why don't you sell out for us, Mr. Black, real quick?
Patreon.com/LagTV. Head on over there, throw some money at the screen, support us directly through that. Not only does that cover the podcast stuff, but also helps us continue to create StarCraft content and soon to be Stormgate content. I'm throwing out little things from time to time, but obviously the game is still in a spot where the replay system in and itself is a meme. So, give us a little bit more time, but when you go there and you support us. You want to see us keep doing our thing? Do the thing. Head on over there at patreon.com/LagTV. Or you can support our sponsor, NordVPN. Head on over there to nordvpn.com/OTT. Link will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And go get yourself a 2-year subscription. When you get a 2-year subscription, you get 4 extra months on top. The NordVPN Saley campaign officially has ended. So now we're going back to the old promo plugs where you get 4 extra months. You get that. It's less than a cup of coffee a month at Starbucks. You can use up to 6 simultaneous devices. All right. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it for whatever reason, you get your money back. No questions asked within 30 days. Stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. I use NordVPN almost on a daily basis. 1 in 3 households have a VPN, a virtual private network. Guys, mask your IP. Your ISP provider doesn't need to know all the things you're doing. The internet doesn't need to know and collect all your cookies and information. They don't need to know all this stuff. Keep your private stuff as private as humanly possible. And you can do that through NordVPN. Whether you're traveling, whether you're at home, whether you're at your local Starbucks or Walmart, you're using public Wi-Fi at the gym, wherever you are, protect yourself. It's a digital world out there, and it's only going to get worse. And I'm not trying to use a fear tactic here to get you to go buy it, but I'm definitely using a fear tactic. Somebody out there is going to try and steal your information or track the stuff you're doing. Stop that with NordVPN. It's super easy to use. It is a click of a button. It's that simple. You want to mask your IP to US? Bink, Done. There's no programming. You don't need to know a bunch of random numbers and dots and semicolons and hyphens and all this other stuff on parts of the keyboard you've never touched before. You don't need any of that. All you need is NordVPN. That's the show. It's an app. It works on your iPhone, your Android, any type of device. You can hook it up to your smart TV. You can hook it up to your smart fridge. They have those now. It's 2024. NordVPN, think of it. Promo code OTT. NordVPN.com/OTT. Go check them out. Support us, support the sponsor, and yourself all at once.
And now it's time for a very short and sweet
Movies and TV.
Deadpool and Wolverine. It's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA struck a deal with AI startup Narrative for audio. I like the fact that they chose a startup company and not like some sort of like existing proven anything, just a startup company. SAG-AFTRA struck a deal with an AI startup Narrative for audio voice replicas in digital advertising that the union says sets a new standard for ethics in the use of AI and makes it easy for performers to go to give consent and get paid. No. Nobody believes you. That's horseshit. People are going to get fucked on. You're going to use voices inappropriately, and they're probably going to get underpaid for it. That's what's going to happen. Everyone can see this shit from a mile away. You ain't fooling fucking anyone. Stop being an asshole. Be the union for your fucking workers. Stop fucking your base up, please. Nobody wants AI generated voice talent. Nobody wants that shit.
No.
The only people that do want to use it to save money. That's the only people. Nobody else is sitting at home going, you know what would make this fucking Mint Mobile commercial better? If Ryan Reynolds wasn't actually there and we just used AI generated Ryan Reynolds, that would be 1,000 times better. Nobody! Stop, for the love of God. But a startup company? Really? Jesus. That just sounds like some fucking backroom bullshit where they're like, all right, guys, so we need to make this happen. Who do we know that can start a company up and then we'll just hire them? It's fucking nonsense. Anyway, that's all I have for movies and TV. Anything else? You watch anything recently? You keeping up on anything?
No. I've just been watching shitty.
When the fuck is Interstellar coming to the theaters?
Good question. Interstellar IMAX.
Needs to hurry up. That shit like September
27th.
Okay, all right, we're getting
next
there.
month.
We're getting there.
It's being re-released in 70mm IMAX.
Thank fucking God for that.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I haven't really watched much. Kayla and I have been finishing up Love Island. We've been doing that. And I think we're gonna watch Too Hot to Handle after this because there's a new one on Netflix.
That's true. They released those at like the same time, didn't they?
Well, the Love Island one it's been out for a little while, so we hadn't watched it. We wait until like pretty much the season's done, and then we just kind of like
binge through,
even though we only really have enough time to watch like an episode a night.
Yeah.
So we get through it. Usually takes us like 3 weeks to finish a season. I did watch. What did I watch? I watched Deadpool. We talked about that already, and then I watched another. There was another movie I saw, Twisters. I think I already talked about that. Yeah. Outside of that, man, I haven't. I watched the Dirty Pop. We spoke about that.
Yes, we did. So you finished that up. Yep. I watched the rest of that too. Yep.
But yeah, outside of that, that's been it, dude. I have been grinding Stormgate so many hours, like it's turned me into like the old 2012 Jeff. This is my first day off from streaming since it came out. So, and I'm thinking about playing some after all of this. So, I haven't had a whole lot of time. Like I'm finishing my stream later and later. So by the time I'm done, it's like 10 p.m. and by the time I shower and shit, I don't have enough time to sit and watch a movie and whatnot, right? So I haven't watched a whole lot last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we haven't watched much either. We started watching Mindhunter this week, which has been good. That's been a fun show to watch. It's really well done. It's not like new or anything like that, but I had heard of it before, but she had started watching it, and I walked into the living room and sat down, and I was like, yeah, I fucks with that enough. So now we've been watching it together. That's a show based on loosely based on real events, in which during the time where the FBI were fucking around with basically coming up with the framework for psychological profiling of serial killers and other deviants, so that it would make it easier to catch them without having to constantly have like hard evidence to like be able to follow around what's happening. And a lot of the psychological profiling that was then used just in general, not just for law enforcement, but outside of that, and it kind of follows that whole thing. And so that's been really well done so far. Actually, it's been I would say I'd be giving it probably an 8 out of 10 thus far. There's 2 seasons up. I don't know if there's only 2 seasons that they did for the show. It strikes me as a show that might have only needed 2 seasons, so it might just be that. I haven't looked into it because I'm trying not to spoil anything for myself while watching it. But yeah, that's been it. We haven't really watched much else. We haven't, she watched while I was streaming. She was watching like 1990s like chick flicks, so I had to listen to Hugh Grant coming over the speaker from upstairs. So other than that, no, we didn't do anything like that. We were going to, there was a day we were going to try to go get, to watch Deadpool, but she ended up having a migraine. And so we couldn't go and check out Deadpool yet. So we haven't done that yet. So we'll try to find time. She's obviously working crazy hours. Yeah, leading up to the wedding. Like that's our crunch right now is she's working basically nonstop so that she can actually take the time off while her parents are here. And I'm trying to prepare everything at home up to the wedding, and so like our actual time is finite, but we do want to go and check it out, and we likely will because we both want to do it. But otherwise, that's it. Which means it's time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com, which I closed on my phone for some reason. Patreon.com/LikeTV, the place to go if you want to financially support the podcast, the StarCraft 2 content, and everything in between. Thankfully, we're already on a subscription model, but Apple hitting up Patreon with the old 1-2 punch, and are forcing them to pay up the 30% fee on the App Store. So and will only allow the subscription model for Patreon or patrons that are using Patreon on Apple devices. And so they are moving everyone to subscription model already, or eventually. You could do it earlier as a creator. We're already on it. We're already on a monthly system here, but there are a lot of creators that do like a, let's say, per video on YouTube because they do really long video essays and they can only do them like once a month or once every 2 months. And so they don't want to charge people for a bunch of downtime. So they just do like, one per video, things like that. Those are the people that are going to get hit hardest by this. And so, yeah, kind of unfortunate, but also par for the course for Apple. So I'm just going to do a hashtag fuck Apple on that one. Why in the fuck are you coming for 30% of subscription fees to a totally different middleman platformer? Stop your walled garden bullshit. Go fuck yourself. That being said, let's see what we got for this week. Patreon.com/LikeTV. Each and every week, $5 or more. Gets you a couple perks, but chiefly you can ask us questions on a post I put up before the podcast called Tech Support, where we answer your questions with the time that we have. Let's see what we've got this week. The Blainer, is there something that you like to eat that other people find to be kind of weird? And he says for him, it's peanut butter and Greaves. What the fuck is Greaves?
I don't even know what a Grieve is.
I mean, I can grieve the loss of the 30% that Patreon's about to take, but this is not spelled the same. I also know about, like, the armor. Did he just get hit up with, like, a mobile phone autocorrect that, like, fucked him up?
Might be.
Or
I've never heard of a grieve in my life.
Other than the armor, and yeah, that's, you know, I have no idea.
All right.
So
ask us again next week.
Well, no, yeah, well, he just had no. He had the no. He's not asking us about Greaves. He's just using that as his own example. The question was: is there something that you like to eat that most people find weird?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I can't really think of a single food that I eat that somebody be like, ooh, that's weird.
I'm trying to think in childhood if you had any weird things that you combos. I'm trying to think what you might have had that was different, but I don't think there was much because
I've always been a pretty vanilla eater, you know?
Yeah,
like I never really
nothing crazy.
No. You know, for me back in the day, like venturing out would have been eating sushi, and I'd be like, ooh, what is that? And now I'm like addicted to it. But like everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people like sushi, right? So outside of that, I couldn't tell you a single food that I eat where people would think that's odd. And I'm even trying to think of like maybe condiments and things that I would put on food that people would think is weird.
Wouldn't? Yeah.
But I don't even do that. Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, you were all I remember from childhood that I always found not weird, but just like I couldn't really fathom how you did it was whenever we ordered Chinese food, the amount of soy sauce you put on your rice was so fucking insane. I didn't know, like, I couldn't envision eating that much soy sauce in one go. That was like that.
Well, I still do. I still put a lot of soy sauce on, but what we've done literally for like the last at least 7 or 8 years, we buy
sodium?
like very low sodium soy sauce. In fact, it's in like the organic section. There's you buy like it's a large fucking tub of it.
Yeah.
And it actually tastes good, and it's not as it's just not chocked with fucking salt. So it's much better for you. To the point where even the nozzle, like the
it's
top,
bigger?
it's big. Like, you know, you could probably fill this up in like 15 seconds if you tried.
Damn.
Like the old ones, you'd have to like literally like
a shaker.
You know, shake it like kind of.
Well, it's because like a tablespoon had like 80% of your sodium for the day.
I know.
God. I mean, I know that because like here, you know, we have soy sauce here because obviously, you know, Em being Asian herself, but she likes sweeter soy sauces, not the like the traditional straight salty ones. Because there's a whole range of soy sauce.
Oh yeah.
And depending on which country you're going to, they taste different. But yeah, like I bought some at Costco because just to have, because I knew her, you know, her folks were coming and everything. I was like, we're probably gonna be blasting through soy sauce. But she ended up buying different soy sauce anyway because she was like, yeah, it's not the right soy sauce. And I looked at the back of this bitch, and yeah, it was like a tablespoon was like 60-70% of your sodium, and I was just like,
it's bad.
Damn, that is so like fuck, that's crazy. But like personally, I don't know. I don't eat it now, but the one that always well, I'll say two things for sure. Okay, two things for sure. One that we only eat occasionally now, especially since my grandmother passed, and one that Dad and I used to do when we were working on jobs together. When he retired, and we were doing woodworking together, building fences or whatever. Was Cheese Whiz, grape jelly, white bread sandwiches, which sounds absolutely horrific. And Dad's the one that brought this to me. I said, Dad, are you feeling okay over there? He said, you gotta trust me on this one. I said, okay, I'll give it a fucking shot. Danny boy, give me this fucking sandwich. And you know what? It's pretty goddamn fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. It fucking tastes. It tastes
I haven't
nothing.
Had Cheese Whiz in forever.
It tastes nothing like I haven't eaten it probably since we built. Like the last time we were out on a job together, But yeah, it tastes nothing like either. It's one of those things where they don't sound like they go together, but when they come together, you don't taste either of them anymore. It's like a totally different
jelly is it?
fucking.
What kind of jelly?
Grape jelly.
Okay, just like regular grape jelly.
Regular purple grape jelly, no seeds or whatever the fuck, and then yeah,
just your regular cheese whiz.
Regular cheese whiz, and it sounds fucking
awful,
atrocious. And I can't lie, it was pretty fucking goddamn good. So that was one for sure that people would probably find super weird. And then the other one was jellied salad, which you would have seen a couple times in my place growing up, because it was something that my grandmother, my dad's mom, always made, because it was super 60s, where every white family put everything in a gelatin mold. It was very British thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And so if you grandparents were of that age, that was something you would have seen. And this one was just that. And my grandmother and grandfather ran a bed and breakfast, and so it was one of the things that were there, and it was normal at the time, and everyone ate it. So anyway, she still made it when I was growing up, and so I when I was a kid, I ate it. They never told me what was in it. Just put it in front of me. And I thought I loved it. I still to this day I love the shit. But back then I realized if you had told me what was in it ahead of time, I probably would have never fucking eaten it. I would never have been able to get my head wrapped around what the fuck was going on inside this thing. It's lime jello, cottage cheese, mandarin orange slices like out of the tin, crushed pineapple, all in a gelatin, like a ribbed gelatin mold, cut off with like lettuce, tomato, and then the top is Miracle Whip and orange juice mixed into a sauce and put on top. And that sounds like the most abysmal, revolting thing in history. And everyone I've given it to, I never tell them what's in it. And everyone likes it, but then they ask people what's in it, and then they no longer like it anymore.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's that's super weird, incredibly 60s, like export out of Britain. All the it's the whitest thing in the world was put everything in a gelatin mold. And
ain't nobody black ever. Ain't nobody black making that, bro.
No. They'll eat the jello. They're gonna fuck with just jello on its own.
They're gonna fuck the shit out of the jello, but everything else, dude, they don't even have those ingredients in their house to even make that. No. How do you? You know that invention did not come from anybody black, because you ain't not, you know, no. even just a regular person just coming up with that concoction. Like, what kind of fucking drugs?
People were wild,
pregnant
bro.
With fucking like triplets? Like, what what were you even on thinking putting these foods together? Like, that's fucking
crazy. Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy. But it's like I've had those kids, so now it's just like I fucking love the shit out of it. In fact, when's the last time I had that? Oh my God, it's been years. So clearly when Mom asked me what I want for my birthday coming up in October, I'm going to say typically I always ask for barbecue anyway or something similar, and then potato salad, and then her chocolate cake. So I'll do potato salad, jelly salad, burgers, chocolate cake, beer, and that's going to be my fucking the show. Let's see. Jubinator. All right, I'm not gonna say what the question is, but there is no possible way for us to answer this without it just. No, it's not even. It's not an awkward sexual thing. It's like not even saying this is not financial advice will feel comfortable in answering that question. So we're gonna have to pass on that one, Jupinator.
Now you got me curious.
It's house related. Okay, I'll tell you what the question is, but like I don't know how we can even go about this. Yeah. So he said, wants our opinions on a house that he's looking at buying.
Okay.
Then gives the details in a place that we would never know anyway. Like we've never been there. So it's in Oregon in the U.S. 2 bed, 1 bath, 1,200 square feet, 5,200 square foot lot. It's a fixer upper.
Say that again. One more time.
Okay. 2 bed, 1 bath.
Yeah.
1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
5,200 square foot lot. So that's the yard that it sits on. Right?
Okay.
Which, if you did the math, would be roughly what we had here growing up, within ballpark in that neck of the woods. Um,
Does he want to put an ADU on her?
and this
What's
is
the
not.
question?
I think this is for them to just get for themselves. I think this is a primary residence by the sounds of it. The price is $300,000 US.
Okay.
He's got 60,000 in savings, 80K income, no debt. Would do a 30-year fixed. Would you pull the trigger or wait? And do you think the election year will affect this at all? The election year is not going to affect anything. I can say that much with a great certainty.
Well,
the housing market.
I mean, well, the only thing
not
that the election is going to
anyway.
do. Yeah, the only thing that the election is going to do is it's going to put pressure for the Fed to lower interest rates. Basically, hey, the economy's doing great. Look at us.
The typical shit.
But beyond that, and I think the interest rate cuts have already started in the U.S. So they're probably going to continue to keep coming over the next little bit. Listen, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know nearly enough about Oregon. Where in Oregon? Oregon's a big place.
Yeah. So, I'll say this, and this isn't financial advice, but this is just strictly just shooting the shit with you. Yeah. Is number one, congratulations. You've got a hefty amount of money saved up with no debt. You're already crushing, like actual crushing it. I will tell you this. I can't tell you the specifics about the house because I don't know the area. I have no idea what value is and what isn't in that specific thing. If you were talking about Halifax, it'd be completely different. But assuming that you have no consumer debt or anything along those lines, if you're in a position to buy a house, go buy a house. But find one that is below your means. Put your X amount of money. I don't know if you're a first time home buyer or whatever, but figure out what's good for you. If you're going to go on a 30-year fix, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, listen, if it sounds like you're in a position to buy a house. I'm not telling you to go buy this specific house because I don't know. But the
fundamentals are there to do it.
The fundamentals are all there. Try and make it so that your mortgage payment isn't more than 30% of your take home pay, or of your gross money that you have coming in. Although seeing as though you don't have any card payments or credit card payments or student loan payments or debt, you can in theory stretch things a little bit more if you don't plan to upgrade your life too much. But just know that once you buy a house, you're going to start to get the bug to buy other shit. You're going to want to buy furniture. You're going to want to do repairs.
It's also a fixer. It's also a fixer-upper. He's saying
it's a fixer-upper.
It's coming with shit he already knows. Yeah.
So there you go. Right. So figure out like, hey, if I'm going to get into this house and my mortgage payments are going to be, say $2,200 a month. What are my costs? Like, am I allocating, $300 a month in maintenance on the house, or maybe you need to put in $30,000 of your saved money into immediate repairs. Maybe the roof is going. I have no idea. Like it's hard to answer all these questions. But I mean, from what you're saying, you sound like you're in a financial position to go buy a house. So from just like a dude to another dude, go buy yourself a fucking house. And to be honest, as the interest rates start to come down, the price of houses are likely going to start going up because it's supply and demand. And for every basis point, it's another about $40,000 worth of buying power that people have. As these interest rates start coming down, there's going to be more buyers in the market, and there's still not necessarily going to be a whole lot of sellers in the market because the interest rates are still really high. And you got to understand the people that are selling their homes, they are locked in at a much lower interest rate before they started spiking. Because in the US, you have 30-year fixed. Here in Canada, you're on a max of a 5-year term before you got to do either a refinance or a new term, which then gives you a new mortgage rate. So, for example, a lot of the sellers, whether your market or any other state, they are likely locked in at say 2.5%, 3.5%. And why would they want to go and sell their house, even if the interest rates are starting to come down some, if they're still going to be locked in at 6%, 5.75%, but they have a current mortgage at 3%. So what? They're going to sell their house to then go buy a new
Spend
house,
more
but
money.
then have double the interest rate. And chances are most people, when they sell their house, they go up in house. They're not going down in house. So, just because interest rates are coming down doesn't mean there's going to be more housing that's going to come out on the market. So because the interest rates are coming down, the prices of homes are going to start going up because there's not going to be a huge flood of new people in the market. So, supply and demand. So if you try and wait too long, you might be better off locking in at still a high-ish interest rate, still pretty friggin' high. But, you get yourself locked in, you buy a house, one that is affordable, one that, makes sense for you and your family. You understand the work that needs to be done. And then maybe 2 years from now, if the interest rates come down, say another 2 basis points, you might be able to go in. Well, then you can do a refinance, get out of that at a fee. So make sure that when you're with your bank, check to see what the fees are to break your term. Usually it's 3 months of interest. So for example, if your new mortgage is $2,000 a month, when you're starting out, about half of that goes to principal, half of that goes to interest. So you're looking at $1,000 a month. So $3,000 to break your term. So if you get locked in, say this year at say 6% or say 6.25% or whatever the case may be, in 2 years, interest rates might be down to 4%. You can pay a $3,000 fee, but that $3,000 fee you will recoup within 1 year of your new lower interest rate. And now you've locked yourself into a new 30-year fix at a much lower interest rate, and that might save you several $100s a month. So I'm just giving you a different perspective. I'm not saying run out and buy a house now or this house, but just weigh your options and understand that likely, and I don't know your market, I could be wrong. I mean, your market might be flat. Who knows? Maybe in your specific market, there's more supply than the national average. I don't know. But just weigh all the pros and cons. Sounds like you're in a great position to go buy a house.
The fundamentals are there to buy a house. It's really going to be,
one. Go get the right one. That works.
The right one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would say is just from like the listing there, and again, because neither of us know the Oregon market at all, but 1,200 square feet fixer upper for $300,000 US seems really high. Like $300,000 for a house that is,
but it might be in a great neighborhood, right? It might be in a nice neighborhood that people want to be in, near good school districts, and it's gentrified, and the prices,
it would have to be pretty fucking goddamn incredible, for sure. For me, anyway. And again, because I don't know Oregon market, it could be that's cheap. But if I'm going to spend $300,000 on something the size of some 1-bedroom apartments, and then I have to still fix it up and spend. And when somebody says a fixer-upper, I'm just going to assume if you're not doing the fixer-upping yourself, you're probably going to spend another $100,000 US to get the house locked and loaded. If you're going to call it a fixer-upper, this house was a fixer-upper. Dad and I did all the work, and we still spent $100,000 on it. So I'm going to say that anyone in the States doing it, if they're not doing the work and it's 1,200 square foot house, it's probably $100,000 worth of work to be done on the house. So you're spending $400,000 probably on a 1,200 square foot house. That would be my only question mark, is where the fuck is this house that a 1,200 square foot house fixer-upper is $300,000? But from, again, the most important takeaway from this is that based on what we know, if you really do have zero debt, and you've got $60K in the bank, and you're clearing $80K gross a year, and you're in the States where you can do 30-year fixed, I mean, you are
go buy a house, man.
You are clearly ready. Just make sure, it's the right one for you. You don't need to rush. Just make sure it's the right one for you. Zonix, Olympics ended. What sport would you compete in if you were an athlete, Mr. Black?
None. I mean, I don't really have too much of a physical bone in my body. I hear esports got approved or something, so that's going to be coming to the Olympics.
Oh, that's going to be a 5-alarm fire after
So,
how
I mean-
breakdancing went.
I mean, if that actually happens, I guess I could compete in that. I'd get my ass whooped. I probably wouldn't even make the Olympic team, but hey, it's what I try out for.
I mean, if I was if this was like 22-year-old Adam that was capable of doing more than walking at a pace without breaking a hip, and I was like thinking about what I would actually be like feasibly capable of doing in the Olympics, it would be it's, you know, anywhere from the 100 to 400 meter in running. I'm literally all legs. I am 3/4 leg, and I have always been bad at long distance, but always very good at short distance sprinting. And that's probably it. There is not much else as Olympic sports are concerned that I could feasibly see myself being remotely fucking good enough in. Even from a physical, like, gifts perspective, there's nothing I can think of outside of sprinting.
Not for me anyway. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm fucking 42 or 44 inches from the ground to the top of my hip. I am to the hip as tall as some people for like just an enormously long set of legs. And so I'd be horrible at swimming because you want the opposite of that. You want all torso, short legs. Michael Phelps looks like an alien in the opposite way that I do, in that if I tuck my shirt in with dress pants, I look like an alien, and he does too, but for totally different reasons. He looks like he's walking around with like a somebody else's legs underneath of him. Yeah, not a swimmer, for sure. I sink like a rock. Definitely would only be sprinting. Dr. Samurai asks, did either of you or have either of you gotten into Formula One racing yet?
No.
Neither have I. A lot of people in the content creator space all at the same time like decided to take up being interested in Formula One. I don't know who started that, but it is definitely spread amongst content creators, but it has not hit either of us yet. Marky Mark asks, what's your guilty pleasure subreddit? Don't have one. I avoid Reddit like the plague unless I have a question that needs answering and I need some dude from the Middle East that answered it in 2007 that is still an active thread on Reddit. That's it.
The only guilty pleasure Reddit that I go to, and I go there once-ish a month, or if a buddy of mine sends me a funny post from there, is Wall Street Bets. That's the only one that I go to. I basically am on the GTA RP Reddit, Stormgate Reddit, and then the guilty pleasure would be the Wall Street Bets. But when I tell you I'm rarely there, it's literally rare. Like once a month. Yeah. The other two, like the Stormgate Reddit, I'm on every day. I'm usually checking it every few hours. And the same with the RP one, just out of habit. I don't even really read anything. I just like go to the front page and just kind of see what's there and then turn it off. But I'm not a big forum guy. I don't really. I'm at that stage where, I try and spend as less time as possible on the internet. Like when I'm not like on, like I am now, I'm usually off. Like even laying in bed, I am not like doom scrolling all the time. Like I'm either watching a show.
I'm typically watching YouTube or something. Like that's my social media now is YouTube.
That's it. Yeah. That's literally my life. There are podcasts that I'll check out or very specific shows on YouTube that I frequent. But outside of that, there are no forums. I was just never into it. I've never really been into it. I'm not much of a reader anyway. Like I'm like a video guy. I just like absorbing video or audio, and that's it.
I mean, I used to be way back in the early 2000s. I was big into game forums and stuff, but it was never on Reddit. Mostly because every gaming subreddit is cancerous, just fucking awful. The only time I was ever into any subreddit for any period of time was like there was 1 year in university, probably 2008, where I was really big into 7F12U, which was the Rage Comics subreddit. That was like the really shittily, hand drawn looking Rage comic stuff. All the formats there. That was the only time back then, because in 2008 I thought that shit was hilarious. Josh asks, would you rather Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, including the Shadow Realm, to be real? If it was real life, would you go Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh, Pokemon.
Yeah, that's
For
easy.
sure.
Come on, let's be serious.
I don't even think I need to go into detail as to why.
No, that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Pran asks, if you had a chance to go back to school as a high schooler or even college, is there a subject you'd like to focus more on to try to improve? And since Jeff found college wasn't for him but has found success in business and real estate, would there be a possibility that you'd try to learn those fundamentals as an 18 to 22-year-old instead? Would you go tell earlier Jeff to start learning about that stuff earlier instead of later? Or
I think I learned it pretty early, though. Like are we talking about real estate, right?
Yeah, like business and real estate, the combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I bought my first property in 2012, and then in 2015, I had my first rental.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was pretty young when I bought my first house. I think it was 23. So by 25 or 26, I was renting that place out. I'm never going to go and tell a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old to just like run out and buy a house. Although,
but learning about it is what I think they're getting at, not actually buying the house. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a 20 or 19-year-old buying a house, by the way. I'm just saying, like, nobody really, like, you're still experiencing a lot of things. You don't even maybe know where your career is going, or, you got to find a significant other. Like, there's a lot of shit. But in terms of, like, learning about it, there obviously in high school, there's a lot of things that I wish was taught, but at the same time, I got to ask myself, would I even have soaked in that stuff? Would it have even registered? I think ultimately the best thing that you can possibly do, for me, I'm speaking from my own point of view here, is to teach your kids growing up the fundamentals of how money works, the value of money, and explain, like my son understands, even when he leaves the lights on, that it costs money, right? Like, these are things that we've taught him. We don't use it as a weapon. Like, what are you doing? That's costing money. But we let him know, like, hey, if we're going to leave on all these lights when nobody's home, mommy and daddy, we got to pay for the power. Like, everything costs money. Like, even when we go to Toys R Us or we're at the grocery store or wherever, he understands that certain things cost more than others. And, it's just the value of these things. As he gets older and he's a little bit more, mature, obviously I'll tell him about business and entrepreneurship and rentals. Like, he already understands that, like, we own properties and, we have tenants, and I got to go sometimes and go fix things or call dad and help. Like, he gets those things, but I think the best place to learn is in your home. And it's basically instilling principles into your children that they can, so that when they're older, they are receiving information that is important, and it feels as though it's important. If it, growing up, I didn't know, like, money for my family was either used as a weapon or it was used as a way to buy validation, or it was something there to buy shit you don't need. It's like, you have money, you need to spend it. Paid on Thursday, broke on Friday. That was the type of relationship that I was brought up with money. So obviously, when I was a teenager and I went into university, I spent it like I was in Congress. I didn't give a fuck. Hey, let me get a $10,000 student loan, and let me go blow this on, traveling to Montreal every 2 months and spending $300-400 a night at a club, or trying to buy a $400 Ed Hardy sweater. It's like, dude, you're negative net worth. You're broke. Like, what are you doing, right? And you're not only that, you're using debt, high interest debt, to go and buy shit you don't need, right? So I and that's just because it was the way I was brought up. My goal is to instill principles into my son. So it's like, hey, you can enjoy those things. It's okay to buy expensive things, stuff like that. But you need to understand that, I didn't even know what an opportunity cost was until university. And I even learning about it in economics class, I failed economics class in university at Dalhousie. I failed it. Now I'd have A+. Like, I'd actually be in economics, and I'd probably fucking crush economics class. Because I understand it now, and I enjoy it, and I'm passionate about it. And so but if I was instilled those things growing up, I probably wouldn't have failed it. I probably would have learned a lot more. So, just saying to put stuff into high school, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think teaching people to be fiscally responsible in high school is important, especially most high school people are saying, hey, go take $50,000, $100,000 worth of student loan debt and go to school and just worry about it later. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really think too much of it in the moment, but like, Jesus, most people, when they're done school, they're going, okay, now I'm making $60,000 a year, but I have $60,000 in debt. And how can I ever afford to pay this back and have life all at the same time? Damn near impossible, especially in 2024. So teaching kids and teenagers about money and how it works is probably more important than just learning about real estate or learning about business to learn about business. Because there's tons of smart people that know insane amount of stuff about business, but suck at business because they don't actually practice it, and they don't actually, they just soak in for information, but the principles, their actions are the complete opposite of what everything they learned. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but that's my answer.
Beautiful. I don't know. I didn't. There was nothing in high school that I can think of that was being offered to learn that I'd go back and be like, man, you didn't pay enough attention in that class. There was nothing there that I can think of that was in a material way would have made any difference. University, I think, is pretty similar. I mean, I took high school and university really seriously from an academic perspective, and it was more like, if I had to change anything, it would have been what I studied in university, or what I majored in instead of management. I would have gone for business IT, so that I would have had programming experience, business program experience to do. Whether that's, it'd be, from a security branch or something like that, because that would have been, back then it was just on like the cusp of becoming something, the market exploding for that. And nobody was certain what credentials or whatnot. And I didn't really love it, but if I was going to try to go back and tell myself to just suck it up and do it, that would have been the one, because that even if I didn't use it immediately, because let's say Lag TV came along the same as it did, and I only, I didn't, go out and do management right out of the gate, like what happened in reality, the skills that I would have learned doing the IT branch of business would have been more useful long-term than what I ended up majoring in. What I majored in would have been fine if Lag TV never happened and I just took the job in Toronto. None of this would have mattered, but that didn't happen. So if I had to go back, I'd be like, all right, well, Lag TV is coming. You're going to love it, but 13 years from now, you're not going to have anything to fall back on. You don't, it's not that you don't have anything, but it's going to be harder to fall back on it than if you just do IT. So take business IT, Have fun for 13 years. I'll see you on the other side. Is pretty much what it would would have been the difference. Last question, Yana. What is your favorite '90s Hollywood blockbuster movies? That I personally got to go with RoboCop.
Oh, that's
Terminator
not
2.
mine.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Terminator 2.
Matrix
T2?
99.
I thought Terminator 2 was Terminator 2 in the 90s. Yeah, it was 94.
Was it 92?
92? Might have been 92.
Was it 90,
Early
91,
90s.
92?
First Terminator came out in late 80s, right?
91. It was 91.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So late 80s. Yeah, okay. So then 91.
So either Terminator 2 on one end of the decade, and then I'm going straight to the other end. Matrix was the two.
Oh. I mean, you picked two really good ones. I'm gonna try and do something different. I'm gonna go Rush Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, I love Rush Hour.
That's so good. I'm gonna go Rush Hour, and I'm gonna go.
What about like Speed? Speed was pretty fucking dope.
Oh, Speed was good, huh? Dude, I gotta go The Matrix as well, man. I can't. The Matrix
is like
out.
it barely squeaks in at 99.
Yeah, was that 99? Yeah.
It's just fucking beautiful.
I'm gonna go Rush Hour and The Matrix. The Rush Hour is just classic, bro.
Oh, guys, yeah, dude, Rush Hour. I watch Rush Hour at least once a year. I just I watch both of them. I watch Rush Hour 1 and 2. Well, there's 3 of them technically now. But I typically watch 1 and 2, and then I almost always immediately then go and watch Shanghai Nights 1 and 2, or Shanghai Nights, and then what was the Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. So those are the two.
Dude, what do we have to do to get another Rush Hour, man? I think it would be perfect.
Dude,
I think
didn't they say they were trying to make that happen?
No, they've been trying to make it forever. Like, I don't know what the hang up is. I don't know if
it can't be money.
I don't know. I feel like both of these guys want to do it. So I don't know, maybe they just can't find the right script or I don't know what it is, man, but I feel like enough years have passed. Jackie Chan is still, Jackie Chan, he can still move, but he's older now, so they can play up on that,
Yeah, of course.
And then you've got Chris Tucker, who's still like he's had a little bit of a resurgence. He's still doing his thing.
Dude, Chris
Tucker
is a funny fucking guy.
That's what I said. Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
Right?
Yeah, he's a funny fucking guy.
Yeah, dude, he's just funny, bro. Put these two in, like, I mean, dude, they've remade what, Beverly Hills Cop and fucking Die Hards and all these other things. Why can't we get Rush Hour? And it's a comedy? Like, come on,
God, dude. It's a
buddy
buddy cop movie, for God's sake.
I mean, at the very bare minimum, why hasn't Netflix just thrown $100 million at these guys and say, go fucking make a Rush Hour movie?
If Adam Sandler can keep cranking those bad boys out, we gotta be able to get a Rush Hour. Like, come on.
Seriously, man.
Fuck.
Give me that. Before it's
too late. He's not gonna be forever.
No, and I mean, these guys, like, they're older now, but I mean,
they could still
not old enough to. Yeah, they could still do it. Can make it a ton of fun. Rush Hour. Here's
a random thing. Yeah, I just looked it up as well. But in Jackie's last word on it is that he's trying to nail down a script.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Is the last word of that.
I think we are gonna get one. I really do.
I do too. Happen. I think they both want to do it.
It'll be
hard
streaming.
Enough that they're gonna.
It'll be on streaming.
Yeah.
It'll be on streaming. I can almost guarantee it.
This could have been in the movie segment, but because you were mentioning, we're talking about old movies and shit. I saw somebody come up with somebody had asked a question. I think it was on. It might have even been on the Technical Alpha Twitter account. I can't remember now. It's been a couple weeks. All the stuff about the new James Bond and whatnot, and who's going to play the new James Bond, and they're going younger again and whatnot. And somebody on Twitter, which is what was shared with me, threw out the idea: what if while we're waiting to for them to find their perfect young James Bond to start this whole next thing, what if we get one last Pierce Brosnan old Bond? So go the other end of the spectrum, where now he's not young and spry. He can't go and do all the crazy shit that he was, but he's clawing back in for one more rodeo. Like, this would be like sequel, old Bond. and get Brosnan back on the saddle one more time with some good writers to give one more crack at James before the new guy comes in and kicks off. And I said, yes.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see it.
I need that in my bro. That would be so fire. Pierce Brosnan with the beard and the fucking hair he's got right now and doing like old Bond would be fucking fire.
I mean, what would be really cool is if he was in a Bond. So like he isn't the main guy, but he's retired. And the new Bond, the young Bond,
007.
Yeah, so like he is looking for a person that can give him tips and pointers and kind of indoctrinate him, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Not indoctrinate.
Not indoctrinate,
train?
But train, not train, but I mean train, yes, but I'm trying to look for more of a $5 word than train. But anyway,
I'm not gonna be able to help you with a $5 word right now.
Yeah, but if there was a Bond, like a new young Bond, and a mentor. There you go.
Okay,
that's better. A mentor, and he's like kind of grumpy, kind of like, guy, I'm done. Just leave me alone. But then you got the young guy that's like, oh come on, like, oh, I heard you did this and did that. Show me. Like, I think that would be a cool dynamic.
That's
I don't necessarily
buddy cop Bond.
Yeah, but like the training, the first, but then again, it's two totally different vibes. Are they going for a Daniel Craig type Bond, or are they going for, you know what I mean?
Because it's a sequel, because it's like with mine, because with the idea of just going with like old Bond as like an actual serious sit down thing. I think that would work in the sense that it's not going to muddy the waters of the Bonds that are coming forward.
I know what you're saying, but then it's also just too many, right? Because like they want a face. You know what I'm saying? You have two. It's like let's just throw in another Batman here. Just let's just bring back fucking Ben Affleck to do this, or bring back Michael Keaton again, or bring back fucking George Clooney. Just this one throwaway Batman until Pattinson comes back. You don't want to be doing that, because it sends people into a fucking panic. They're like, what is this? Like, well, but I know what you're saying. I mean, the thought process behind it, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, leave Pierce alone, right, bro.
Well, then give me Pierce Brosnan doing James Bond, but legally distinct.
Okay. There you go. There you go.
If I have to watch Liam Neeson's keep jumping fences with 47 cuts, just give me one more Pierce Brosnan. Get out there, for fuck's sake. Come on. Liam Neeson, like 97 years old, still trying to convince everyone he's doing action movies, but not even like the old guy action movie. We're supposed to believe that he's still like a 35-year-old spry young man.
That ain't it.
Come on,
dude.
Liam.
I ain't even a 35-year-old spry young man anymore, let alone fucking
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, no. Liam Neeson, no, bro. No.
I do love me some Liam Neeson, though. I mean, go on. And on that note, that's it for this podcast this week. We're going to head out of here. And so enjoy your lengthy podcast, making up for our absences. Until we see you guys next week. Of course, we got more content coming to the channel as we typically do. But until we see you on the next one, although I'm not even going to say next week. You never know. I got to keep it a buck. There are 2 weeks before my wedding. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen between now and then that may or may not allow us to facilitate a podcast, but we will see what happens 1 week at a time. So keep an eye out on Twitter, on the Patreon and whatnot. But let's assume until we see you again, have a good one. Stay safe out there, and peace.
Peace.